Hello friends, welcome to Universe of Naruto X. If you love Naruto what if stories and anime explanations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin today's story. And now let's start the fanfic. Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, was burning. The once proud ninja village of the Land of Fire after years of countless wars was finally destroyed. Its once proud people scattered or dead. Naruzumaki knelt next to the body of his last precious person. Hinata, he cried as he cradled her body. She had thrown herself in the path of Sasage's final attack. The Chidori that would have connected with Naruto's back as he was fighting the last of the Akatsuki. Na turned from killing Matera to see his beloved impaled on the Ikeha's arm. Her hands flying through a series of attacks. Even as she died, she made sure that the Uchiha paid for his arrogance. Naruto's attack took Sasuke's head from his body along with a portion of his chest and spinal cord. He brushed Hinata's bangs aside as he held her. She reached up weakly. "It's okay, my low love," she said, her voice growing weaker. Na cried. I can't let you go. He said, "Shushes. IW will be okay. I'll be W with Oba baby again." Their son, who had been born less than a year ago, had been murdered by a Hyuga council member who had been upset that the Hyuga heir had reproduced with Konoha's resident demon. Na and Hinata had torn the Hyuga clan apart in their anger. Only Hinata's father, sister, and Neji had been spared their wrath. Naruto's tears fell down his cheeks. If Tsunade was alive, Hinata's weak smile told him she understood even as her hand fell from his cheek and the life left her eyes. Naruto's howl of despair sounded all over the remains of the once proud village as his last and most precious person died in his arms. Na, using his shadow clones, spent most of the night digging graves for the dead of Konoha. The bodies of the Akatsuki members and Sasuke's sound ninja were stacked and set ablaze outside the remains of the village wall, which wasn't any higher than 3 feet in most areas. Naruto stood before Hinata's grave. He had dug it personally and the headstone he had carved as well. Hinata Uzuaki, beloved wife, mother, and friend, a light amidst the darkness. "She saved my soul. What am I supposed to do now?" Na asked the headstone. He placed Hinata's favorite flowers around the grave. "I'm alone. Everyone I know and consider precious to me is dead. You are never alone, Kit. I will always be with you." Na closed his eyes. "And that is the problem." There was silence then. "You don't mean that. You're upset about." "You're damn right. I'm upset. Hinata is dead. Everyone in my village is dead except me. Akatsuki waged war on the elemental nations, wiping out our allies before they, along with Odo, Iwa, and some of the smaller villages, attacked Konoha." The Kaoli was quiet and Naruto looked at the grave of his one true friend and a man he considered his brother. "Ga, you stood with me and Hinata until the very end. You were the best man at our wedding, and you would have been our son's godfather had the Hyuga Council did what they did." Na knew he couldn't kill himself. His regenerative abilities were too strong for that. "Now I wonder if anything can kill me now. It would take your head being separated from your body. With the amount of __ you've been through since you were born, poisons have no effect anymore, and you're Helen. G factor will fix anything now. So beheading is the only thing that will definitely take," Kaobi explained. They had formed an alliance after the deal with Pain when Naruto was 16. It had become Kaobi acting as a sounding board and advisor to Na. Also, Kalubi hedged. "What? Next thing you're going to tell me is that I won't age?" "Oh. Good. You guessed it. What?" Na didn't bother to think his thoughts as Kaobi told him that he was basically not going to age. "It's not so bad. You'll look 214. Well, I'm not sure really. You are basically immortal. Let me tell you, Kaobi, not now, please." Na thought and Kaobi fell silent as Naruto stared at the grave of Hinata, the woman he had come to love and had loved him for longer than he had known. Deep inside the seal, the Kaobi sat behind the seal, and it could feel its container sadness. The Kaobi had to admit losing one's mate was devastating, but it knew that Na had not lost his soulmate. The kid is alone. Sure, there are small villages, but the time of the ninja is past. Na is the last of a dead breed, the demon thought. For the past 5 years since the passing of Jiraiya, Kaobi had fallen into the role of Naruto's advisor and helped him train and learn, making him the best of the best. And now he's wait, I could, but that would mean Kaobi looked around its seal. I could make it happen. But first, I need to make some changes. They'll have to wait until the kid is asleep. Kayabi muttered to itself as a plan formed in its mind. Naruto, unaware of what his tenant was thinking as he knelt before Hinata's grave from sunrise to sunset where he fell asleep. That was when the Kayabi went to work. Wake up. We need to talk. Naruto opened his eyes and groaned at finding himself outside the seal. Can't it wait until morning? Not noticing at first how tired and weak the voice sounded. No. Sunrise is about to start and I need to say goodbye. Na looked at the seal and could barely make out the shape of the Kayabi, which seemed smaller. What the hell do you mean goodbye? You said, I'm basically immortal, and you can't leave unless I die. Close, Kayabi said and stepped close to the bars. Na blinked as he took in the nine-tailed fox's appearance. The once proud kitsune, who had deep reddish-orange fur, was now sporting white fur. What the hell did you do to yourself, Fuzzy? Na asked in shock. The Kayabi lowered its head so that it was level with the blonde that was its container. Nothing to myself. You're as white as snow. Na countered. I spent the night preparing you. We have until the sun rises before she comes. I've made arrangements. I am sending you to your soulmate. Hinata. But she's not her. She wasn't your soulmate. I know came to love her deeply, but trust me, it will be something completely different when you meet your true mate. Kayabi said. Na looked at the eyes and saw that the Kayabi was exhausted. What did you do? Na asked again, this time his voice remained calm. The Kaili chuckled and even that sounded weak. As I said, I prepared you to go to your soulmate. I've downloaded languages you'll need as well as some skills. You won't know about them until you reach her, Kailu explained. And what will happen to you that you're saying goodbye? Na asked. A sigh from the demon fox filled the air. I made a deal with the Shinigami that she can take me and transport you to your soulmate. I've used all of my remaining power to make you her equal. Kayabi chuckled at this as if it knew something that it found funny. The Kayabi looked up. It's nearly time. It's been an experience. Live long and makes gagging sound prosper. Your soulmate will keep you on your toes. Kayabi said. Na found himself ejected from the seal as a presence was felt. Na saw his last sunrise over Konoha before he felt something hook him from the seal and his body felt like it was being compressed and with a pop he was gone in a galaxy far, far hour. Why? Kali Naj, a scout that had been hired by the Republic for her skills. Her athletic body was covered by the bed shear while she slept in her undergarments. Her long black hair was tied back in a ponytail and her eyes shifted as images filled her mind. She was shocked awake by two things. The Ender Spire shook with explosions and the klaxon sounded that the ship was under attack. The second thing that woke her was the body falling atop of her and she screamed and kicked trying to get loose from whomever had decided to take advantage of the confus. Ion of battle to get some nookie. A startled oof told her that her knee had struck true and a moment later the body rolled off of her and the bed and hit the deck. The lights came on and Kali Najia's dark eyes landed on a shocking pair of blue eyes of the blonde that she'd only seen in her dreams. You, they both said, even as the ship rocked from another hit. Kali's Naj stared at the whisker-marked blonde that she'd only seen in her dreams, and she thought that's all he was. I mean, ninja, come on, they aren't real. She thought one time. But right now, her dream was looking at her in confusion. This is my soulmate. The Kayabi must have smoked some bad weed or something. Na thought and then looked around when he noticed the floor was shaking. Must be on a starship. How in Cam's name do I know that? And how the hell do I know what a starship is? Kali and Na were pulled from their thoughts as the doors hissed open, and a man wearing the uniform of a Republic soldier hurried in and sealed the doors. He had short blonde hair and was carrying a blaster pistol. We've been ambushed by a Sith battle fleet. The Ender Spire is under attack. Hurry up. We don't have much time, he said as Clusi stood up and Naruto got a good look at her long legs. Who the frack are you? Kali demanded. I'm Trulgo and Enon with the Republic fleet. I'm your bunkmate here on the Ender Spire. We work on opposite shifts. I guess that's why you haven't seen me before, he said and looked at Na. Now hurry up the both of you. We have to find Bastila. We have to make sure she makes it off the ship alive. Kali looks at Traz. Who's Bastila? She looked at Naruto to see if he knew, but he shrugged just as lost as she was. Traz sighed and muttered under his breath. Bastila is the commanding officer on the Ender Spire. Well, not an officer really, but she's the one in charge of this mission. Traz looked at the pair, not seeing any recognition from his bunkmate in her obvious choice of bed partners. He must be a tech. I don't recognize him, Traz thought. One of our primary duties is to guarantee her survival in the event of an enemy attack. You both swore an oath just like everyone else on this mission. Now, it's time to make good on that oath. Na rolled his eyes. A bit much, but if she's in command, I can see the point in keeping her safe somewhat, especially as it sounds like she has no training other than command. Reminds me of some of the council during the war, he thought. Traz looked at Callie. I know all about your reputation, how you used to smuggle spice and blasters along the Carolean run. I guess the Republic figured since they couldn't catch you, they might as well hire you. Both Naruto and Khaleesi thought dumb at the same time and rolled their eyes. And I'll admit, the Republic is in desperate need of someone with your kind of skills. Desperate enough to overlook your shady past. Na was tempted to punch this guy out as he made it sound like he was being kind for working with her and calling her a criminal while asking for her help. Reminds me of some of the rich clients we had, like we were beneath them, but we were good enough to do the tasks they needed. But now that you've signed on for this mission, you're part of the Republic fleet. And right now, Bastila needs all troops at her side during this attack. Callie sighed. Okay, let's go help this Bastila. She looked at Na, and when we have time, you and I are going to have a very long talk. Talk, Trask muttered. Is that what they call it nowadays? When he realized that Na and Khaleesi had heard him, he cleared his throat. So hurry up and grab your gear. You both will need to suit up so we can get out of here. Khaleesi ignored Traz as he was obviously trying to look while making it look like he wasn't. Na glared at him while Khaleesi went to her footlocker and opened it, grabbing her pants and jacket. She pulled her clothes on and then her boots. She pulled her gun belt and slipped it on with a familiar ease. She pulled a short sword out next and slipped it in its sheath across her back along with a pack holding some of her personal gear. Okay, she said, turning around. What about you? Trask asked. Naruto pulled out a couple of kunai. Ready as I'll ever be at this time. No blaster? Trask asked in surprise, and Na shook his head. Callie handed him the short sword. Use this. I'll cover you with my blaster. Na took the weapon and after giving it a couple of experimental twirls, nodded while Traz went to open the door. I'm Na, by the way, he said. Khaleesi and Naj. The door hissed open and they saw a utility droid working on a power outlet. Naruto heard a voice from Traz and Khaleesi's communicators ordering them to the bridge. Let's move out, Khaleesi said, ignoring Traz as he seemed to idolize the man identified as Carthonis on the communicator. They opened another set of doors and found a lone Republic soldier trying valiantly to hold his position, but the two silver and black armored forms of the Sith troopers took him down with several well-placed shots. These Sith must be the advanced boarding party for the Republic. Traz shouted and dove out of the safety of cover. What an idiot, Na and Khaleesi said at the same time. Na with his short sword leading followed Traz, ducking and weaving until he was close enough and he spun his blade severing the SITH trooper's head from his body while Callis' series of blasts took down the other one that had Traz pinned down halfway there. Traz wiped his brow. I've got a feeling that won't be our last battle with the Sith, and the last one could be your last if you charge out there like a Ronto into a pack of Cath hounds. Callie scolded him. Traz took the reprimand and looked at Na. You have some skills for attack. I'm not. Na started to say, but Khaleesi cut him off. That skilled. He could have got his brains fried by blaster fire. Na looked at her and saw something in her eyes and nodded. Sorry. Caught up and all that. They made it to another set of doors while behind them, the corridor was rocked with explosions. A utility droid was blown apart while working on an exposed conduit. Callie had some skills and opened the next door where they found two more Sith. By their body posture, they were surprised, and Callie and Traz gunned them down quickly. Search the bodies, Khaleesi ordered. Take any grenades, medpacks you find. Na did that and heard a groan. Turning his head, he saw Traz frozen in place and his eyes tracked to see what had gotten that reaction to find Callis stripping back to her undergarments and pulling some kind of combat suit from a bin. Olgo, police the bodies. Naruto snapped as he slung a pack over his shoulder and picked up one of the Sith's blaster rifles. They opened another set of doors once Khaleesi was dressed and found a corridor with a bend and the sounds of battle were taking place. They made it in time to see the last group fall. A Sith trooper had thrown a grenade into the midst of the pitched battle and killed not only the Republic troops but some of his fellow Sith as well. Bastards, Callus said and pulled a grenade, and before the 4 troops at the end of the hall not siege, she threw the grenade and killed them. Police the bodies and then move on, she ordered. Na handed her short sword back and he saw she had a long sword as well. He picked up a double-bladed sword and after Traz asked, "Can you handle that?" Na went through a series of spins. Yeah. He shouldered the blaster rifle as he wasn't sure how skilled he'd be with it. They stopped outside another pair of doors and heard the sound of battle. The sound of energy weapons colliding. Lightsabers. Na thought and an image of the weapon appeared in his mind. "I swear, Kayabi, if we meet up again, I am so going to punch you on the nose." The blonde thought as Traz forced the door open. "It's a dark Jedi. This fight is too much for us. We better stay back. All we do is get in the way." Traz said, "Speak for yourself." Na thought, unaware that Khaleesi had a similar thought. As they watched a woman with a blue-bladed lightsaber fight off the dark Jedi, the woman managed to win and looked at them. She just gave them a welcoming smile when the conduit behind her exploded, killing her instantly. "Damn," Traz said. "That was one of the Jedi that was accompanying Bastila. We could have used her help." At that point, 2 more Sith troopers appeared. Narad leapt and came down between them. His double-bladed sword already in motion, and in moments, they were dead. Not getting a chance to raise their weapons. Na looked at the bodies and picked up the lightsabers from the Dark Jedi and the dead Jedi before Khaleesi and Traz reached him and noticed. They picked up some grenades and med packs. "The bridge is just ahead," Traz said, pointing towards the doors ahead. "We should all equip melee weapons. It's too close in there for blasters." "What if there are Dark Jedi in there?" Khaleesi asked, pulling the long sword and short sword out. Traz pulled out a short sword, and Na realized the man was wearing it under his jacket as a spine sheath. "Your blades are coated with a cortosis weave. It will stand up to a lightsaber," Traz said. And Na and Callus heard the unspoken, "I hope." Traz forced the doors open with his code and they saw a pitched battle between the bridge crew and Sith troops. Control consoles exploded around them and 2 troops noticed the door open and raced at them. The 3-2 was a big advantage and Traz realized that Narad was more skilled than he first thought. Ahead, the remaining fighters were brought down as all the consoles exploded at once, killing both Sith and Republic forces. Traz looked around, but still is not here on the bridge. They must have retreated to the escape pods. "We better head that way, too." Callie shook her head. "Should have headed there in the first place." As she added some grenades and credits to her pack. "The Sith want Bastila alive, but once she's off the ship, there's nothing stopping them from blasting the Ender Spire into galactic dust." "Move," Na said as he got a feeling. They moved around the remains of the bridge to the other side where they opened the doors and entered the hallway. They found another set of doors. Traz frowned. "There's something behind here." He managed to force the door open and froze. A figure in black with pale skin could just be seen through the smoke. "Damn, another Dark Jedi. I'll try to hold him off. You 2 get to the escape pods. Go," Traz said as he shut the doors even as explosions rocked the ship. Khaleesi tried to open the doors, but they were fused shut. They could hear a battle on the other side. "Traz has bought us time to escape. We need to make it to the starboard section of the ship," Na said, pulling her away by her shoulder and leading her to another set of doors. After they heard from Karth once more, this time telling them that Bastila's escape pod was away and that they were the last 2 alive on the Ender Spire. Narad and Khaleesi nodded, Na brandishing his double-bladed sword while she held both hers and trash blasters at the ready. The lone guard in the corridor was gunned down in a hail of blaster fire by a pissed-off Callus. "No one dies for me," he heard her mutter and knew that she was pissed off about Traz sacrificing himself like that. They rounded the bend and entered a room with 2 Sith troops that they killed quickly with blade and blaster. "You 2 better be careful. There's a whole squad of." Khaleesi shut off her communicator and went to the droid. After looting the bodies, Narad went to the console, and when the doors opened to the droid Callus he had repaired, the Sith started trading fire with it. Na, meanwhile, had hacked the system, unsure of how he knew what to do. But betting the Kayabi had done a lot of things without telling him, he overloaded the conduit, and as the droid killed some of the squad, the explosion wiped out the rest. Niece, Classy said. As they entered the room, they raided the bodies. Callie found a prototype sword and dropped her short sword, putting the new weapon across her back. They opened the door and came face to blaster muzzle with Karth on a sea. You made it just in time, Karth said in greeting. There's just one active escape pod remaining. We can take it and hide out on the planet below. How do we know we can trust you? Callie asked. I'm a soldier with the Republic like the both of you. With the last 3 crew members left on the Ender Spire. Bastila's escape pod is already gone, so there's no reason for us to stick around here and get shot by the Sith. Now come on, there'll be time for questions later. Khaleesi looked at Narut, who nodded. She looked at the pod. That's going to be a tight fit, she said. Naruto climbed in and she followed, helping him strap in. Karth was at the rear of the pod when he was struck by a hail of blaster fire. Commander Clusi yelled. Karth had fallen backwards away from the pod, but as he fell, he gave her a nod and hit the button that sealed the pod and launched it. No, not another. Na grabbed onto her to keep her from bouncing around. But on hitting Terrace's atmosphere, she banged her head off the side of the pod and knew no more. Na kicked the hatch of the escape pod open and pulled himself out. He saw that the pod had landed on the edge of a walkway, and he cursed. Reaching back into the pod, he grabbed the unconscious form of Callus Nod and hoisted her out. He held her bridal style and leapt from the pod to the walkway. He could see people starting to come towards the pod and made his way to what looked like an apartment complex, or more importantly an abando. Ned building. He exited the lift and found himself on an open floor. He rushed the corridor. A green-skinned alien called a Twilight pointed out an empty apartment for him to use, and called an old man named Cotter, who was apparently the janitor for this floor, used a keycard, and opened it. Na put Callus on the nearest bed, and went to the backpacks. I wish I'd learned even some basic healing jutsus. I don't know what to do for her. Na was feeling upset, and he went into the bathroom and wet a rag. He used it to clean the welt she got from smacking her head. After reading the directions, he injected with a Colto solution from the medical pack he'd found. I guess the only thing I can do now is wait and see. He took the bed nearby and stretched out after removing his sandals and jacket. He closed his eyes and drifted off to an unrestful sleep. Na jerked awake, his eyes scanning the room he was in, and it took a moment to remember where he was and why he wasn't in Konoha. Guess it wasn't a dream after all, he thought, and noticed Callus was waking up as well. She sat up abruptly and Narud wondered what she had been dreaming about. He saw her blinking as she looked around confused. Good to see you up instead of thrashing about in your sleep. You must have been having one hell of a nightmare. Na said, getting her attention. I was worried you were never going to wake up again. When she looked at him and blinked, he fidgeted a bit. I'm Na. We met aboard the Ender Spire when I fell on you. We used the escape pod together. Do you remember? He asked her. Yes. She sat on the edge of her bed. I had a strange dream, like a vision or something. She said softly. I'm not surprised. You took a serious blow to the head. You were probably having all kinds of strange dreams. Don't worry about it. I was too, Na admitted. What's happened? Callie asked. Well, you've slipped in and out of consciousness for a couple of days now, so I understand the confusion. We're safe for now, at least. She looked around and he continued. We're in an abandoned apartment on the planet of Terrace. You were banged up pretty badly when our pod entered the atmosphere at a bad angle, I guess. Luckily, I wasn't hurt and managed to drag you away from our crash site. By the time the Sith arrived, we were already secure here. I guess I owe you my life. Thanks, Khaleesi said a bit subdued. Na waved a hand. You don't have to thank me, but you're welcome. I've never abandoned a friend, and I'd be damned if I started now. He brought Clusi some water. Right now, Terrace is under Sith control. Their fleet, I've learned, was here weeks before the Ender Spire in orbit, and they've declared martial law and imposed a planetwide quarantine. Na told her, I've been in worse spots, like the time Danzo sent me to Iowa, and then told the bastards who I was. Na thought. Na pulled out a data pad. I was looking through the bags. Seems Commander Oni had a data on everyone on the ship. I was reading your service records. Says you understand a lot of alien languages. I think I do as well, but I'm not sure. Anyways, it will sure come in handy, I bet. Callie drank some water. There is no way that the Republic will be able to get anyone through the Sith blockade to help us. Oni marked on this pad about the importance of finding Bastila and getting her off the planet. I guess we won't be able to rely on anyone but each other. I wonder why it's so important to find this Bastila. Callie muttered. Na held up a finger. According to Honest's notes, Bastila was on the strike team that killed someone named Darth Revan. He scanned the pad. It seems Oni believed that Bastila was the key to the whole Republic war effort. Callie shrugged at this. Guess the Sith found out she was on the Ender Spire and set an ambush for us in this system. Well, according to the late commander, Bastila was on one of the escape pods that crashed down here on Terrace. Guess for the war effort, we'll have to find her then. Callie said, I just can't see how one person, even a Jedi, be so important. Oni must have been psychic because it seems he had that question as well. And here's his answer. Na said as he read from the pad, he says that Bastila is no ordinary Jedi. She has a rare gift that the Jedi call battle meditation. Says that Bastila's power can influence entire armies. Na read more and Callus finished her water. Well, she didn't have time apparently to use that then, or we might not have been forced to reject. Na said after he was done, I'm sure she can look after herself. She is a Jedi after all. Callie said, maybe, but she'll probably need our help. No one will be looking for us. A couple of common people like us. If we're careful, we can move around the planet without attracting notice. A luxury I'm certain that this Bastila won't have with half the Sith fleet looking for her. Callie shrugged. I suppose, she said with the quarantine in effect, no ships can land or take off, so we'll need her help as much as she'll need hers. She looked at Narrat, who had slumped in a chair near the main table. Any idea where we should start looking? Na shrugged. I did some scouting while you were out. I learned that there were a couple of escape pods crashing into what they called the Undercity. Sounds like a good place to start. Callie frowned. If the Undercity is a dangerous place as I've heard, we don't want to go unprepared. Want there anyone, much less ourselves, if we get killed. Agreed. Na said, have you ever been to Terrace before? Na asked once. Spent a day picking up cargo and then left right away. Callie said. She looked at Na. Why do I know you? What? He asked, his brow furrowing. I've dreamed of you for years. I know everything about you, and yet I know we've never met. Narrat shrugged, not sure what to say. He never knew of her until a couple days ago when he literally fell on top of her. But since then, focus Uzumaki. Hinata's dead less than a week, and you're looking at Cal like she's old man Ikyaku's super bowl of ramen that you're getting for free. I'm sorry. What did you say? He asked when he realized she asked him something and had fallen quiet. If my dreams are right, then you lost everyone recently. Na nodded. I'm sorry. That sounds so pitiful, but I am sorry for your loss. Callie said. Na was quiet for a bit, then he shook himself. I'm sure you'd like to clean up and change. There's a shower in there that works. He pointed to the bathroom, or fresher, as it was called. Thanks. Put your clothes outside the door and I'll run them through the cleaner. Callie nodded and entered the fresher, and the door hissed shut behind her. Na sighed. His senses were screaming at him and he knew he was really going to punch Kirby next time they met. Her scent, Cammy, it's so overpowering. Last couple of days have taken more cold showers and beat off more than when I was dating Hinata and married her. He was upset that whatever Kirby did to him was making him forget how precious Hinata had been to him for the last 5 years. Callie Narj let the water pelt her skin and she ignored the pain as she scrubbed her hair from the head wound. She was trying to forget the images of a Naruto out of her mind. She dreamed of him from when she was a child until recently, and she thought the dreams were finally gone. But when he landed on her and the moment she saw him, saw that he was real, her mind had returned to her youth. She remembered when she was 12 years old and she dreamed of him passing his ninja exam. She cried when he learned of the burden he carried. Damn it, Cal, get a grip, she mentally scolded herself. I'd like to get a grip. All right, she thought, then turned the water to its coldest setting as her body was beginning to feel overly warm with the way her thoughts were going. I've been alone for too damn long and now my imagination has come to life. I'm not a saint, damn it. She allowed the cold water to wash away the last few days, but even the coldness of the water did nothing to stop her mind. Callie Narj exited the fresher wearing her original clothes. Looking around the apartment, she saw Naruto was gone. She knew he was real, at least because there was a note. Cal went to get some real food. The ration bars taste like crap. Be back in a bit, nah. P.S. Your bag is on your bunk. Under this, there was a chibi Na grinning and giving her a peace sign. Goof, she thought, but at the same time took the note with her and sat on her bunk. She grabbed her pack that had been with her through thick and thin. Opening it, she dumped everything onto the bunk. Man, it's been a while since I cleaned this thing out. She thought with a hint of disgust. She binned rations that she couldn't remember how long they had been there. She checked the med packs and piled the credits. I have nearly 8,000 credits. Who knew? She thought. She checked the grenades and added them to the pile Naruto left on the workbench. Okay, that's 12 frag, 7 concussion, 2 ion, 4 poison, and 2 adhesive and 1 plasma grenade. Callie couldn't remember why she had the plasma grenade or when she got it, but it had been in her pack for a while as it had been on the bottom. She checked the blasters they had picked up while abandoning the Ender Spire and decided they'd sell them off along with the long sword she'd picked up. She messed around with the prototype by Brusward and after installing some things, she gave it a twirl. Happy with the balance, she turned when the doors opened and her stance relaxed seeing Naruto with a couple of bags. Whoa, he said, seeing the drawn blade. You don't like steak? She smiled. I like steak. She put the weapon down. Sorry about that. I was adjusting the sword I found before we left the spire. Na nodded and put the bag on the table. I see you packed up the grenades. Yeah. I divided them between our 2 packs along with the med packs and the credits. Na nodded and took out some foam containers. I wasn't sure what to get to drink, so I got something called blue milk, as well as some more bottles of mineral water. Oh. I haven't had blue milk since I was on Tatooine. Callie said and smiled. At Naruto's look, she described the world to him. One big sandbox. Garo would have enjoyed it. Callie looked at him. So, he was real as well. Na nodded. I thought for so long it was just a fantasy. I remember when I was little, I thought you would just wait a minute. You saw me as a child. Callie nodded. It was like growing up with you. I saw everything. Everything. You mean you saw the time with Hinata? Na asked. Callie blushed and nodded. Na groaned. Damn Kaeli. He muttered. What does the fox have to do with anything? And I swear I thought you were talking to yourself sometimes. Na looked at her. You never got to see the mindscape when I talked to the furball. Callie shook her head. I nearly had a heart attack when I was 12 and that old guy threw you off the cliff during summoning training. Na looked at her. What? She asked. Cammy, she knows everything about me. Kaelu, did you do that? Or is this something about being a soulmate? I have questions, but I don't know how to ask them. Na thought. Nothing. Just surprised. He said instead and opened his container. Callie mirrored him and dug in, her eyes drifting towards him, her own thoughts going to light speed. After a night of sleep, the pair got dressed for some exploring. Callie put on the light combat armor now that it was clean. She slipped her blaster and a spare into holsters and the prototype sword across her back. She looked at Naruto, who was in new clothes. His torn clothes had been beyond saving, and she had to admit he dressed up nicely in the gray pants, a dark blue shirt, and a dark rust orange flight jacket. He had a heavy blaster strapped to his thigh. She also spotted his shuriken and kunai holsters, and he picked up the double-bladed sword that she had spent the night sharpening. Ready? He asked. She nodded, and they slipped their packs on. Let's find Bastila, she told him, and stepped out the door of their apartment. And Kami the Force or the Kayabi must be laughing as they walked into the middle of a Sith patrol that was questioning a couple of aliens. My luck sucks. Callie and Naro both thought as the Sith turned towards them. Republic spies, get them. He ordered the Sith battle droids. Callie shook her head and drew her sword and Naruto was already in motion, his double-bladed sword spinning as he went after the battle droids. She didn't hesitate as her blasters cleared the holsters and she drilled the lieutenant right between the shoulder blades as he turned to deal with the alien, assuming the Sith droids would do their tasks. It was the last mistake he would ever make, and the battle was over in seconds. One of the aliens died from nearly a point-blank range. Poor Ixkill. He should never have talked back to that Sith. Thankfully, you both were here to step in and help us. Thank you, humans. The alien Adao said, this isn't the first time the Sith have come in here to cause trouble for us, and now that this will be the last. Khaleesi nodded. I'm just glad we could help, Naruto said, scratching the back of his neck with his free hand. Hey, won't someone come looking for this patrol? Khaleesi asked. We should do something, Khaleesi asked, looking at the remains of the Sith and his battle droids. The Duro nodded. Don't worry about the bodies. I will move them so it looks like they were killed elsewhere. That should throw the Sith off the track. The red-eyed, green-skinned alien said. With any luck, they won't send any more patrols here to bother us for a while. Na had scavenged the bodies, taking weapons and credits and shoving them into his bag. Khaleesi smiled and gave him a nod when he looked at her. They left the alien to do his task and headed in the opposite direction. Hey, Cotter, Na said, greeting the old man who was cleaning up another mess. Hey there, watch where you're walking. I just cleaned these floors. Na nodded. Khaleesi, meet Cotter. He led us into the abandoned apartment when I was carrying you. Nice to meet you, Carter, Cal said. The old man nodded and looked at the maintenance droid as it was scrubbing a section of floor. Sorry I haven't gotten to talk much with you, but I was worried about Cal. Nah, who didn't see the look he got from the raven-haired girl at the nickname he called her. That's okay. As the janitor for this building, I never thought they'd rent that abandoned apartment, so you might as well get some use out of it. He scowled at the cleaning droid before giving it a quick kick when it was going the other direction. I didn't get to ask before, Carter began. But oh, you look like an off-worlder. You get stuck here because of the quarantine. Na nodded. Hey, Cotter, is it okay if we ask you some questions? Callie interjected, thinking it was one way for her to get caught up on info. The old man nodded. I don't know how much I can tell you, but seeing as how you're new here and pretty much stuck, I guess I can try and help you out. Callie smiled. What can you tell me about Terrace? Cotter frowned a bit. Decent enough place to live, I guess. Except for the lower levels. That's where those swoop gangs hang out. Just stay in the upper city and you'll be fine. He paused and seemed to think. You also might want to check out the cantina. I used to go there when I was younger. Good place to get a drink and find out what's going on in the upper city. Where is the cantina? Cal asked, but noticed Naruto looking away, trying to act innocent. She didn't get to say anything as Cotter began to answer her. Cal tried not to laugh at the way the old man spoke about the cantina. They talked for a moment longer. Well, I should get back to work. I'll probably see you around. I'm here most of the time fixing or cleaning, and the building doesn't clean itself, you know. Callie smiled as he wandered off. They explored their floor, meeting a frightened Ethorian, as well as a meek Twilight. The last apartment they looked at was next to theirs, and they met Dia and learned her tragic story about Holden, who had put a bounty on her after she fought back and refused to let him have his way with her. Callie hated men like that and promised Dia that they would talk with the bastard when they got to Hiloa City. They entered the lift and headed for the streets. Na led them past the equipment emporium, and once they entered the cantina, Naruto walked past the Pazik table and the few people there. Callie, however, was looking on with interest, but sighed when she realized her deck had still been aboard the Ender Spire and was probably cinders and space dust. She sighed and turned to leave when she bumped into an old man. Oh, I'm sorry, Callie said. Hello, youngster. I see by your look you like to play Pazik. You interested in buying a deck from this old man who is looking to get out of the gambling game? Just 50 credits and I'll sell you my cards and throw in a free lesson to boot. Khaleesi waved away the lesson. I'll buy your cards. I lost mine recently. He gave her his deck and she gave him the 50 credits after she looked over the deck and had to admit that it wasn't bad. I hope the game's as good to you as it was to me, he said after introducing himself as Grow. Thanks, Khaleesi said with a smile, feeling happy. She saw Naruto was looking at her. You didn't just pay that guy for his cards, did you? The whisker-marked blonde asked. So what if I did? Cal stated. 50 credits for cards. Na asked in disbelief. You don't understand how expensive a good Pazik deck is. So, Khaleesi dragged him to a nearby table. What are we doing? Na asked. I'm going to teach you to play. Cal said. Do we have time for this? Na asked. It's fun and a great way to make money, and well need it if that Twilight we talked to earlier was any indication. Supplies are expensive here on Terrace. So, for the next hour, Cal showed Naruto how to play the game. Well, Isn't that something? A snide voice said, causing them to look up to see a terrace noble standing there with a woman on his arm. Now, if you children are done playing, it's time to let real players use the tables. Na narrowed his eyes and was about to speak. If you think you're so hot, why don't you sit down and play for it? The man sneered. I won't play for anything less than 100 credits, but looking at you, I'll settle for 50 credits to put you in your place. Na growled, but Callie agreed. She had a grin on her face. Na vacated his seat and the snob sat down without a word of thanks. The woman stood near Na as they watched the pair play. Isn't he the greatest? She made a sound that Na identified from years of experience. Gah, even in another dimension, I still encounter fangirls. The ultimate evil. The Physic cards seemed to blur as Callie took the first game as Cal trounced the man with what looked like practiced ease. They played the required hands and then the snob demanded a rematch. This time Callie put up a 100 credits. Nicholas won't let her win the second time. He was just lulling her into a false sense of security. The woman told Naruto, and it reminded the whisker-marked blonde how his former teammate Sakura would talk about the third teammate Sasake, the last of the Uchiha clan. Shaking his head, Naruto saw that the snob Nicholas won the second hand, but Cal wasn't concerned and soon the game ended. Nicholas began. Cal, we've got things to do, Naruto said, cutting over the snob, and the whisker-marked blonde would bet that the snob would have kept demanding matches until he won. All right, Callie said and grabbed her winnings. Na leaned in. Let's mingle and see what we can learn. Callie nodded. Watch out for the Tijan ale. It packs a hell of a kick. Na nodded and went right while Callie went left. Callie, after checking the main room, stopped and narrowed her eyes, seeing Na near the doorway sitting with a woman. An obvious Sith of some kind, as she sat with military rigidity. Na was flirting with the woman, and Callie could see the woman blush and touch Naruto's hand that was on the table. With a snarl, she continued past and entered a room. She blinked and smiled as she'd seen rooms like this on other worlds. A duel den. Now we're talking. She ignored the people watching monitors as well as the obvious duelists and made her way to the back where she found a hut. It figures where there's betting, gambling, or anything like it, you will find a hut. Ah. What do we have here? The hut spoke in its native tongue of huts. Cal looked at the big eyes a moment, then replied in huts as well. My name is Callie and I'm looking for a chance to make some quick credits. I am a Jew of the hut and I run the Terrace Duel Arena and the fights that take place there. It's nice to see more fighters stepping forward. This blockade has been good for business. Callie talked to Rajua for some time and agreed to enter under the name The Mysterious Stranger despite disliking it. Besides, if the Sith got a crew manifest from the Ender Spire, it would be the best thing to use an alias. She thought as she checked her weapons. Her first opponent wasn't that hard. He was incompetent. Callie thought as she collected her 200 credits after talking Rajua into a higher price. Seriously, Dead-i.e. Duncan should hang up his weapons and become a moisture farmer on Tatooine. Callie thought when the idiot nearly sliced his own ear off, drawing his brazzet. Still with energy to burn and the mental image of Naruto flirting with a Sith woman, she took on Gerlan 2 Fingers. And when the duel was over, they needed to change his name to Gerlan No Fingers. Seriously, where do they get these people? They aren't good, and fighting with an injury like that is stupid. Callie collected her 400 credits and decided to see what Naruto was up to. She looked where he had been last, but found him and the Sith gone. She felt her stomach tighten at that. He might be in one of the other rooms. Calm down, Cal, she mentally scolded herself. Searching the other rooms of the cantina, she ignored some idiot as she dubbed him trying to hit her up for a chance to meet the band. Which sounds like a Wookiee in heat. Callie thought with disgust. She was ready to turn away when she bumped into a man. Sorry, he grunted. Callie noticed that he had the military stance. You're one of those Sith from the base. She said. He made a face. Yeah. You've got a problem with that? He asked, looking around. Callie shrugged. Not really. She lied. I need to go. Sorry for bumping into you like that. After searching the cantina and not finding the whisker-marked blonde she came in with, she managed to piss off a tear. Shan girl whose father spoiled her. She was making her way past the equipment emporium when she was set upon by 2 Rhodians. Her gaze caught sight of the girl. The Rhodians drew Vibraswords and Callie drew the prototype sword and spun and duck, killing both quickly. The spoiled girl's eyes widened in surprise and she ran off screaming, "Daddy." Cal, pissed off, managed to cut her off before she got to the street and sat down on the bumper of a nearby speeder. She used the flat of her blade and spanked the girl. "You do not attack people. You spoiled little bitch," Callie said and dumped the girl on the ground after spanking her. Grabbing her sword, she sheathed it across her back and strode away, ignoring the snickers from the crowd. She'd drawn while giving the rich brat probably her first ever spanking. Stalking the walkways, Cal ignored the Sith troopers that were patrolling and just walked, allowing herself to calm down. Na shook his head and checked the data pad. What the hell have I gotten myself into? As he watched the Sith leave as she had to get ready for her shift. She'd shown him where the party would be taking place later tonight and got him to promise that he'd be there. Man, Cal's going to kill me for leaving her at the bar. Na thought. He walked the northern part of the upper city. He heard a man talking bigotry and learned it was against aliens. He tried to use the lift, hoping that if he got some information, Cal would leave him in roughly Naruto shape. The Sith guard on duty, however, was problem, and Naruto saw there was no way to kill him as there were always people, droids, and more Sith around. With a sigh. He was walking back the way he'd come, avoiding the drunks he'd walked into before. Thankfully, alls they did was wave at him and went back to being bothersome to the Sith they passed with making drunken comments. Na took his time walking and ran into an old man who was being harassed by a couple of thugs. Na didn't even pull his double-bladed sword from his back as he kicked one off the walkway with a spin kick and the other he rammed a kunai into the man's arm, getting him to drop his blaster. "Thank you. I couldn't pay them and they were going to kill me." It was then that Na learned about Davik, the crime boss of Terrace, and the exchange, and chalked the guy up to being like God. Na gave the man money so that he could pay his debt and they parted ways. Na got 5 steps before he saw Callie standing before him. She seemed surprised to see him here as well. "Where the hell have you been?" she demanded, crossing her arms and giving him a look he swore all women that he knew had been given genetically. "Scouting," he answered. "I'll bet you have," Callus muttered, not understanding why she was feeling this way. She did the only thing she could. She stomped on Naruto's foot as hard as she could, and pushed him into the nearby fountain. Na came up sputtering and saw Callie was storming back towards the apartment. "He'll never understand women," the blonde thought, pulling himself from the fountain. He ignored the passerbys and walked after her, his feet making the squelch sound with each step. "And I still need to tell her about what I learned about the elevator," the blonde thought, his mind already coming up with ways around it. "I could use chakra and walk down the side of a building. But then again, that would draw attention and someone might take a potshot at me." He increased his pace, hoping Callie could think of something. Naruto came from the fresher towing his hair dry. He looked around and found that Kalasi was missing. He saw a note on the table. He also saw that it was sitting under a frag grenade. "Thank Kami that it's not active," he thought as he approached. He read the few lines. "Na went out to do some info gathering. Don't wait up for me. Callus Narj." He sighed. "Yep, she's pissed," Na thought with a sigh. He pulled on some dry clothes. He looked at the empty bed and then sat on his for a moment before he sprang up as he remembered something he'd been thinking about. He went to his pack and pulled out the lightsabers he recovered on the Ender Spire and had forgotten about until now. He put the one that felt weird aside and stepped away from the workbench. Thumbing the switch on, he felt calmness wash over him as the blue blade hummed to life. "I shouldn't be using this. It isn't mine," he thought even as his mind was speeding through the information, and he gave the blade a lig. HT spin, and he felt assured that it was well made and had served the previous user until her death. "I swear I will punch Kayabi's nose," Na thought as the history of the Jedi poured into his mind. His decision to look for Cal forgotten as tears slipped from his eyes as he saw some of the greatest betrayals the Jedi Order had ever witnessed his mind. Northern apartments. The throbbing music was giving her a massive headache. She looked around and saw nearly all the Sith were drunk. "Everyone knows you take it easy with the Terracian ale," call she thought as she avoided the grabby hands of several of the men who were drunk as hell. "Why oh why did I come here?" Classy thought and saw the woman Naruto had been talking with earlier. The skank. She looked around but didn't see the familiar mop of blonde hair. "Damn, I owe him an apology now." Callie hated it when she was wrong. She hated to apologize even more. She saw several of the out-of-uniform troopers passing out and mentally sighed in relief as more of them were curling up together. It didn't take long before the only noise was the thumping music, which drowned out the drunken snores of the partygoers. Khaleesi used the time to snoop and found a pair of Sith uniforms that would fit her and Nar. She grabbed a pack and shoved them in along with as much credits she could steal from the drunken Sith soldiers. Shaking her head, she grabbed an unopened bottle of Teresian ale and slipped from the room, luckily avoiding the patrol coming from the other way that were going to find their comrades unconscious. Apartment. Nar had managed to stash the lightsabers in the bottom of his pack and was fiddling with the blaster rifle, amazed at how much information that Kayabi had crammed into his head, and he was doing things like he was a natural. This was how Khaleesi found him fiddling with the blaster rifle with a sort of smile on his face. "Oh. Hey," Nar said in greeting. "Hey," Khaleesi said as she locked the door behind her and dropped the stolen pack that contained credits, Sith uniforms, and a bottle of ale. "Listen, They both started and stopped speaking. "Han, I'm sorry if I did something to make you angry with me," Nar said, speaking before she could get another word out. "No. I'm the ones who's sorry." She shook her head. "I found out we can't get to the lower city without a pass or uniforms," she said. Narret nodded. "I tried earlier. Not sure how we're going to get a pass." Callie smiled at this. "Well, it's a good thing one of us is sneaky then." Narret knew she was making a point about his old clothes and narrowed his eyes. "Don't go there," he warned. Cal smiled as she grabbed the pack and after taking the ale out, she appended it on the table and Narret blinked, seeing the Sith uniforms. "Won't someone miss them?" "Nope. As I was leaving, a patrol came and arrested 'em all for drunk and disorderly. It'll be a week before they think about the uniforms," Cal said as she had seen the partygoers being loaded up in a transport and the patrol captain yelling at them for being a disgrace to Air uniforms. "So, hit the sack. Tomorrow morning, we're going to the lower city," she told the blonde and practically skipped to the fresher. Nar blinked, shook his head. "Even being married to Hinata-chan, I'll never understand women," Nar muttered as he put the blaster rifle back together and slipped into his bed. No sooner than the door closed to the fresher than Cal gripped her head and groaned at the massive headache. So painful, she went to her knees and ground her teeth together in an attempt to not cry out. Her mind, while in pain, showed her an image of someone wearing armor and holding a red lightsaber. Nearly 10 minutes passed before Khaleesi could stand. By the time her shower was over, she had forgotten about the vision and entered the main part of the apartment. She paused looking at the sleeping Nar. Before she realized it, her fingers were tracing his whisker marks, and he moved his cheek closer, murmuring as he did so. "Hinata-chan," he said, and Callie's hand moved as if she'd stuck it in a power converter. She climbed into her bunk and turned onto her side. "Cut it out, Cal. He just lost his wife." She scolded herself, but at the same time, she found her eyes locked on Narret until sleep claimed her. The early morning sun found a pair of Sith troopers moving through the crowds. People moving out of the way quickly. "Stop it," one said as the other one kept adjusting the, "Sorry, Calcan. I'm not used to wearing something like this." The first trooper sighed. "Just cut it out and don't scratch." The pair made their way past several drunks who moved away in fear, and they stood before the elevator. Another patrol heading to the lower city. "Be careful down there. Some of the swoop gangs are getting out of control," the elevator guard warned them. Khaleesi nodded and sighed once the elevator shut. "Can we take this off now?" Nar asked. "Yeah. We can put them back on if we need them," Cal said as they shed the armor. She blinked at how quickly Nar was back in the rust-orange pants and mesh shirt. She saw he slip on the battered flight jacket and shook her head. "Orange. What's wrong with orange?" Narret said as she stripped out of her uniform and put on the combat suit. She strapped the vibros words onto her back once more and adjusted her gun belt. The blaster strapped to her thigh. When she looked, Narret had his weapons pouches strapped on. It was then that she noticed Narret didn't have a blaster. He flicked his wrist and the double vibe appeared. "How?" Cal asked. "Storage seals," the whisker-marked blonde said, and Callie's mind supplied past images of what he was talking about. "I really need to talk to him about everything I saw one of these days," she thought. The lift slowed and the doors opened. They saw several people rush past. "Gangs?" Nar asked. "Probably." They stepped off the lift and the doors closed quickly. They took several steps and walked into a pitched battle. This is starting to feel more like home. Na muttered and waited into the fight when the Black Vulcars, as they called themselves, turned from the dead hidden Becks as they had been identified. I hate gangs, Cal muttered as she drew the prototype Vibisword and the Vulcar soon fell under the comban. Ed onslaught. Sadly, one managed to knock Naruto's blades out of his hands and it went flying over the edge. The Vulcar didn't have long to celebrate as Naruto pulled a cane from his pouch and rammed it into the Vulcar's neck. Na looked over the edge, and I was just getting to like that weapon. Well, find you another one. Until then, she presented him with the prototype sword. I'll use my blaster. I've got my kanai, Na said. I know, but I'd rather you have a little bit better weapon. Unhanded combat is hard on armored troops, and who knows what else we'll see. Cal said, and Na saw the look in her eyes. It was one Hinata had used on him when he was being stubborn, and he sighed, taking the weapon and sheath. Let's go. They followed the corridor and saw a Rhodian guarding the entrance to a place. They saw the sign saying that it was called Java's Cantina. Looks like a good place to start. Naruto nodded and let her lead. Something in his gut was warning him to tread carefully here, and it reminded him of a tavern he had been at with Jiraiya during their travels. What's that smell? He muttered. You don't want to know, Clusi said as they entered the doors. Na kept his hand near his kanai pouch as they watched the guy gun down 3 Black Vulcars. Morons. Anyone could see that he was giving him a chance to run. The blonde thought, and from what he heard, Carnord was ruthless as he used a flash grenade in the confines of the bar and the sound of blasts. Fire signaled the end of the 3 Vulcars. And when he could see around the spots, he was right. Nord was walking past Khaleesi, and she of course had to speak with him. So shorty, that was some fine shooting. Go away, Nord growled. No need to be like that. Callie said 1. Nord began his countdown. Na needed no further prompting as he pulled Cal to him and walked past Nord. Ignore her. She's had one too many cups of trees ale. Smart. Nord sneered as Naruto pulled into the bar past the bodies of the dead Vulcars. What are you doing? Callie hissed. I might have been able to get him to join us. Not likely. Weren't you paying attention when he killed those Vulcars? Not like that's a crime, obviously. But just don't borrow trouble. Na fired back. Cal looked at the bodies, then at Na. Cal think of him as an antisocial, who would probably shoot his mother if he's got one if it made him a quick credit. Ah. Like your former teammate Sasaki. The moment the words left her mouth, she cringed even as Naruto gave her a look. They were saved from remarking on anything as a pair of Rhodians were harassing a Twilight girl. A moment later, the girl called to someone and Orki rose up. Ever see a bug get its legs ripped off? Calls asked as she watched the pair of Rhodians flee before the Wookiee. That was cool, Na said. Oh. Hey, the Twilight said. That was nothing. So, this is a Wookiee, Na said, looking at the fur-covered creature that was well over 7 feet. What scared Na, but he managed to hide was he understood the creature's words. Me. What the hell has Kayabi done to me and gotten me into? I swear I hope someone in some hell is shoving a porcupine up his fuzzy. Na missed most of the discussion, but Cal had obviously been pumping the Twilight for information about the lower levels, the swoop gangs, and some crime boss named Davik. Well, it was nice meeting you, Na said and realized he missed the introductions. Callie sighed. Her name is Mission, and the Wookiee is Zed-Bar. Pay attention next time. She scolded him. Sorry, I'm easily distracted by pretty girls and shiny objects. Na muttered. Mission giggled and shared a look with Na. Don't feel bad. I am distracted easy as well. And Big Zed here would be stopped by a free meal. We need to go, Cal said. Mission might have just given us away to the Under's city. She whispered into Naruto's ear. He nodded in understanding. Well, catch you later. Maybe we can share a meal sometime. Oh. Okay then, Mission said, and Naruto almost stopped Cal because he knew the tone of voice only too well. Big Zed and I have things to do as well. Come on, but Mission, the Wookiee protested, looking at its partially eaten meal. Oh. Don't be a baby. It's not like you're going to starve. She grabbed a handful of fur and dragged the 7-foot alien out of the bar behind her, none daring to cross her. What a pair, Callus said, then saw the look on Naruto's face. What? Nothing. he replied. Let's check around the rest of the bar just in case we learn something else. And Cal, what? She looked at him. No picking up strange men, he said with a grin. You don't pick up any stray women. She looked around and made a face. Honestly, you don't know where they've been or what they've done or who. The pair shared a laugh before splitting up, both keeping hands near weapons. 30 minutes later, the pair joined up at the entrance to the pack den. Well, that's 30 minutes of my life I'll never get back, Callie said with a look of disgust back towards the hut's bounty office. Nar shook his head. Learn anything. Terrace is messed up and the bounties are more like revenge hits for Davik Kong for good people who slighted him or one of his employees. She shook her head. There are a couple of legit bounties. Anyways, I've got copies of them all if we want to earn some credits. Narrat copied them to his own wrist computer. He'd found a spare amidst the packs and wondered how he had missed seeing them earlier. You? Cal asked. That I don't want to live here, Nar said, his eyes going back to one of the side rooms. There's a disgusting man named Holden who thinks. Did you say Holden? Cal asked. Yeah. Hey, isn't that the name of Cal? Nar watched as she strode across the bar to the music den and he hurried after her knowing there was going to be something interesting or another body on the floor. He got here just after Holden made a pass at her and he growled. You the banana that has the bounty on dear? Cal demanded. Oh. You're here about that? Holden's demeanor changed. Nar watched as the pair went back and forth. Holden actually trying to get money from Cal to remove the bounty. The bastard wants double what's being offered. Narrat thought after checking the bounty on his wrist. Calm. Cal got in really close so that she was whispering in Holden's ear. The man pulled and finally agreed to remove the bounty. He hurried off to tell Zack the Hut who ran the bounty office. I'll give him a moment to inform the Hut before going to double check. Cal said she was mad. The man tried using his position for a crime boss to intimidate her. Now I see why Dia tried to remove his manhood. The pair checked at the bounty office. Nar looked at the Hut and he couldn't tell if he was related to Ajura or not. Huts should wear name tags or collars. The blonde thought as Zax confirmed that the bounty on Dia had been removed. Holden had made some bluster to Cal about how he worked for Davik who had one of the fastest ships ever before he retreated to the music room to watch the twilight dances. So now what? Nar asked. I think we should go back up and tell Dia the coast is clear. That and if what I've heard about the Undercity, I want to load up with more grenades and get you a few other weapons. Cal said and Narrat nodded at this. The more he had heard about the rack goals of the Undercity, he liked it less and less. Upper Sati Dia had been very happy and despite not having anything, she gave Cal something in a pouch that she said had been in her family. Cal, after opening it and peeking inside, thanked Dia profusely. The woman left the apartment for the first time since the bounty had been placed. Come on, Cal said, and they spent a large amount of the credits first on more grenades. Then, Cal insisted that Naruto buy some armor, and he found the most hideous thing she'd seen. It would be orange, she mentally moaned and vowed that next time she would pick out his armor. He also picked out a Ichani ritual brand. Ichani fired dances used the double-bladed ritual brand in a dodging and slicing pattern so graceful it looked more like a dance than combat. After seeing Nar spin his body and the blade, she thought how right they were. It's like the blade was built for him. While she was distracted, the equipment shop owner smiled, annoying look on her face as she'd seen that look many of times over the years on many young women's faces. The pair then went to see Zelka where Callie loaded up on med packs, antidotes, and various stims. Nar watched as Cal also bought an implant and slipped it on. What's that do? He asked, and the information already assaulted him. Well, this implant will fight off any poisons we'll most likely encounter. Except the Rackhold disease, Zelka said. Cal nodded. She paid for it all and led Nar back out. Well, need to change. Find us an alley. Nar did. Once more, they were wearing their Sith uniforms. Cal followed behind Nar on their way to the lift, her eyes going to the armor covered, and she thought, I could watch this all day. No man should fill out a pair of pants like that. Nar had complained that the pants were a bit on the tight side, and I don't mind that. Cal shook her head. Damn it, girl, he just lost his wife, and you're thinking of him like he was a Coruscant joy boy. They used the lift without trouble and changed back into their regular armor. I am so going to die that hideous thing once we have time. Na grinned as the orange and yellow body armor creaked as he moved. Let me break it in first. They walked the corridors of the lower level, the black Vulcas avoiding him as they moved past Javiers, the Rhodian guard giving him a once-over. They stopped and Cal looked at the black woman standing guard before trying to gain entrance. Hold on there. You can't just waltz in there. This is the hidden Beck space. Cal smiled. I know. Buffy scrambled to the top of the tower only a few moments after Spike, but both Slayer and Vampire were too late. Buffy saw Spike rip the priest away from Dawn and throw him over the edge. Buffy approached. She saw her sister, the key that Glory wanted, desperately looking at her blood-covered hands in horror. It's too late. She heard Dawn whisper as tears streaked down her cheeks. It's the only way. She choked out as she bent down and Buffy saw her retrieve the knife that had been used to cause her wounds to begin with. Doc, who had been there helping Glory, grabbed the knife, and then Spike and heaved. Spike was tossed away by the one called Doc. But as the vampire fell, he grabbed the man and pulled him after the knife falling back onto the scaffold. Behind her, she could hear Xander rushing up the stairs. Xander, who had comforted her after Dawn had been taken. I will not think about that right now. I will not. Buffy bundled her sister up in her jacket. Her mind was working frantically. Underneath them in the air was the portal, growing larger with each passing moment. Oh God, what will come out? Will it swallow the world whole? Buffy thought as she heard Xander reach the top. He was panting, and she could see he was battered and bruised. She knew he had fought his way through Glory's minions to reach her and Dawn. Buffy's brain went into overdrive. She wasn't as dumb as she pretended, but she allowed everyone to think the bleach she used had soaked into her brain. Blood. It's always about the blood. She thought, remembering Spike's talk several weeks back when a vampire had gotten lucky and Buffy had doubted herself. Below, she could hear over the roaring wind and the crackle of magical energy from the portal the sounds of some large hell beast. Xander, take her, she ordered, passing her sister to the man who not long ago had healed her with love, who finally won her heart. Get her down off the tower, she ordered. Buff, Xander said, looking at her. You're not thinking of doing anything heroically stupid now, are you? He asked. She saw the concern in his brown eyes, the scrapes on his cheek bleeding from some claw swipe. She smiled at him. Who me? We don't have time. It's too late. We've got to go, Xander said. She could see the panic in his eyes. He knew. Buffy shook her head. There might be another way to close the portal, he said, glancing down at the increasing pandemonium. Son, we don't have time for this. When the monks made Dawn, they used my blood because they knew the Slayer line would protect her. Buffy looked at her sister, her daughter. Keep our girl safe. Understanding appeared on Xander's face. She's made of me and you. I was the protection, the magical portion needed. But her human side, what makes her Dawn, came from you. But it always comes down to blood. Every damn thing in the magical world is always about blood. She was crying now. Take care of her. Tell her I love her. Make sure she knows it wasn't her fault in any way. Make sure. Tell Giles, Willow, and Tara I love them, too. Xander felt tears starting in his own eyes. Buff, there's got to be another way. He felt himself choking. Take care of them all. Watch over them. They'll need you to be strong. I don't. I can't be strong without you. You're my hero, he said. Buffy leaned forward and kissed him. It was soft, tender, filled with unsaid words that they wouldn't get to use. I love you, she said, stepping away, her hands caressing Dawn's cheek and the man's cheek who she realized far too late that she loved. She walked to the end of the platform. I know, she heard his heart-wrenching sob, but once I wish we could be selfish and let the damned powers do their own damned work. Buffy saw him lifting Dawn up bridal style. Their eyes locked once more. Don't mourn me. Open your heart. Buffy choked on her own words as Xander with Dawn started down the stairs. She turned for the end of the platform once more. Buffy, she heard him call, his head still above the deck. I wish. Buffy nodded, tears in both their eyes as she watched the man she finally led into her heart. The man that was her heart start down the stairs. Buffy and Summers, the longest-run vampire slayer, hero, sister, daughter, mother, friend, and lastly lover moved to the edge of the platform. Overlooking the growing portal and jumped. Konoha, get some water on those fires. Ambu squads 9 and 11, get those wards up. Manado Namikaze stood in his office holding his newborn son. Kusha, his wife, had died in labor due to complications just moments ago. Lord Hokage, the Kyuubi is still coming. Squads 10, 13, and 22 are all dead. And Anbu reported, move teams 3, 12, and 17 in to fill the gaps. Order all Junin to get to the walls and have Chunin squad 1 through 9 armed with Kana and Shuriken at the gates. The Hokage ordered. He looked at his mentor and the previous Hokage and sighed. Any advice, old man? Here isn't Sir Toby. The Sandaime Hokage looked at the blonde man who replaced him as the village leader. Grab your son and run. Order the evacuation. Serbi said, we can't. If we'd had a day's warning, but the Kyuubi came out of nowhere. Minato looked at the giant nine-tailed fox. How the hell something that damn big gets so close with no warning? He muttered. Someone humped the bug. Jiraiya muttered as he used his spyglass to see the battle. We're having about as much effect as a mosquito. Manado sighed as he looked at his son. Blue eyes stared up at him, inquisitive and trusting. Do I do it? He thought as he looked out across Konoha, the Kyuubi's tails lashing behind it wildly, striking buildings and destroying them instantly. Causa, forgive me, he thought. Hey pervert, he called and Jiraiya turned. What? I need you to summon Bunta for me. I'll need everything I got to end this. Manado said to his sensei. Jiraiya, trusting his student, did as he asked. You want me to hold the gaki? Jiraiya asked. No. Manado said. I saw the look. He'd worn it once when he was Hokage and had to make a sacrifice during the Second Great Ninja War. What are you planning? He asked. Minato looked at him sadly, then at the baby in his arms. I'm going to do the only thing I can that will stop the Kyuubi. Not the Shiki Fujin, Hissen said. And Manado nodded. It's the only thing that can stop it. We both know the Kyuubi is an elemental force. It doesn't have an actual body. Let me do it then. I said. Sorry old man. The village will need your guidance and wisdom. Manado said. He took a step towards the waiting Gamabuntu, and the blow landed across the back of his neck. He felt Naruto being lifted from his arms. I'm sorry, Manado, but your son will need his father more than the village will need another old man. He heard her mutter, and his unconsciousness claimed him. He saw the Sandaime step onto the toad boss's head. Sorry, Manado, he's right, Jiraiya's voice said as he felt himself lifted and carried to the couch at the back of the office where he would wake an hour later. Shaki Fujin Hazen roared and he felt the hand of the death god grip his soul as the seal began to form on the stomach of the baby in his arm. Muz, be safe, little one, he announced. You are a hero. There was a flash and the dying third Hokage saw a young woman fall from a portal and land at his feet at top Gamabunt's head. The blonde looked around and she had blood on her hands and her stomach. Where am I? She said, looking around. She saw an old man holding a baby. As this hell? Saratobi didn't have much time and handed her the baby and said something in Japanese that for some reason her mind instantly translated and she replied. What do you mean protect him? Who is he? She asked, unaware that she was speaking perfect Japanese and understanding it. Serbi smiled as he felt the cold hand of death take him. Nah, he said and fell back dead. Buffy looked and saw the huge fox dissolving and watched as red energy entered the belly of the baby she was now holding. A weird design formed around it, making her think of a spiral. She watched as whisker-like marks formed on the baby's cheeks. Hey, what's going on up there? Buffy looked around and looked down to see she was on the head of a giant frog. Man, good thing Willow isn't here, she thought. Then it registered that it had spoken. You can talk, she yelled. Of course I can talk. Who the blazes are you? Gamma Bunter demanded, realizing that there was someone he didn't know at top his head. Buffy, what the hell is a Buffy? Bunt demanded. A girl UKFC snack. Buffy said. The baby in her arms made a sound and she looked to see the blue eyes staring at her and the baby yawned and snuggled against her. Hey frog, can you take us somewhere to like who the baby belongs to? She asked. I'm a toad, you silly girl. And what about Serbi? Who you mean? The old man that died after handing me the baby. Gamabunta sighed. Manado will be heartbroken. Hang on, girl, I'll take you to the Hokage Tower. Buffy was about to ask what the giant toad meant when it leapt. Her scream echoed around Konoha. Jiraiya had to make several decisions while the Yandere was unconscious. One was to arrange the funeral for the Sandaime Hokage. Another was about the strange girl who was holding his godson Na. Every time Jiraiya or another ninja had taken the baby away, the little blonde-haired baby woken through the kami of all fits until returned to the blonde-haired girl. Jiraiya made the decision that what happened to the Kayabi would only be known to himself, the girl in Manado, when he woke up from the forced sleep that Serbi had performed along with a strike to the back to the Yandime's head. He also had sent orders to begin clearing the debris. Now I know why I never wanted this job, he thought with disgust, seeing the council members coming in the door. We need to know what happened. Homiya said, you'll know after I've spoken with the Hokage. Jiraiya said, now, if you don't mind, who is the girl? Kaharu asked. And why is she here? Homiya said, noticing the blonde holding the baby in her arms. Leave. Kaharu said. This is important, and we don't have time for some slip of a foreigner. She stays. Jiraiya said. Listen here, Jiraiya, Homiya said. We've put up with your disrespect for years out of respect to Hirozen. But if you think she is here because she was there when he died, he said, cutting off the old windbags. She is going to speak with the Hokage, and she isn't going to be intimidated by either of you. Now, until Manado wakes up and gets the report, you can all go do something useful and help rebuild. And fight fires. Both council members looked shocked at being spoken to like that. You go to far, Jiraiya, Kaharu said, eyes narrowing. And why is the Yandame incapacitated? Homiya asked. Surtobi-sensei felt that he would be better suited to make the sacrifice needed to stop the Kayabi. Jiraiya said, sadness creeping into the edge of his voice. I was going to lose one or the other. My sensei and father-like figure since I was a small boy are my student and friend. The Toad Sage thought. His eyes went to the girl and saw she was ignoring the council members. No, she's listening, but she's making it look like she's ignorant. Smart girl, he saw how she held the baby and wished he could hold his godson for a moment in the madness that had come about since the arrival of the Keilu no Kitsun. It took Jiraiya promising that he would let them know as soon as possible what had happened before they left. Jiraiya leaned against the door inside. He heard a chuckle and saw the girl was grinning at him. What feels like being sent to the principal's office and watching the principal get blindsided by an E8 parent. Jiraiya sighed. Strange girl this one is. He noticed she had blood stains, but she had assured him she was fine and they weren't from the baby in her arms or from the body of the old man that the big frog had brought here with her. Bunda put up with her rather well, calling him a frog. That used to get me thrown off of him or him vanishing beneath me. Of course, he wouldn't do that with the body of Sensei or the baby there, he thought. They both turned towards the couch, hearing the moan. Manado, Jiraiya said, and hurried over to his former student as the blonde sat up looking around. Are you okay? Jiraiya asked. Manado blinked and looked around before looking at Jiraiya. Who are you? He asked. Hi. Serbi looked at the calendar and knew that today he would need to speak with Naruto about his Keek. Genka the Omnigan. I wonder what powers have been gifted to Na. The Hokage thought, picking up several scrolls with the spiral mark he had on Naruto's clothes. I knew this day was coming, but he is of age. He thought of the 14-year-old boy who was currently in an advanced class at the Ninja Academy. He's like his parents. Given a chance, he can be the best. The Hokage smiled when he told the instructor to ignore Naruto's problem with the bunch. Rock Lee in Naruto's class can't use chakra, yet the teachers were passing him. The same can happen for Na. The Hokage thought, smirking as he got around another roadblock that others had placed in front of the blonde, which in the end didn't matter as the professor showed Na the cage bunkenand. The younger blonde at 11 started mastering it. He then asked the Hokage the question, if this is so great, why don't you use it to do all that paperwork you hate so much? Gigi Saro Toby fought the urge to slap his face. Then he stepped out the door of his office and closed it behind him. Sir, his secretary called, I am out for the day. Reschedule all appointments. I need to speak with an academy student about his heritage and bloodline. She nodded and made a note to reschedule. Good luck with Naruto, sir, she said. The Hokage nodded. His secretary had liked the blonde the first time she saw him and always made time for him when he came in. I may need it, he said, walking the early morning streets. The Hokage appreciated the peacefulness of the village. He nodded to several merchants as they opened their shops for the day. He enjoyed the early morning quiet and the late evening. It was at these times that the Hokage enjoyed the most, when the village was at its most peaceful. He frowned seeing the words on the apartment building Na used. No one wanted to live there, so the Hokage gave him the building when he was 6. Over the years, he had to admit the blonde did a lot of repair and the whole place had become his home. He knocked on the door and got no answer. Strange. Naruto's usually awake by now. He thought as he pulled out the key Na had given him after the blonde had moved in. Entering, he stopped seeing the blonde laying on the ground in a fetal position, his hands covering his eyes. "Na," he said, dropping the bag with the scrolls and rushing to the boy he thought of as a second grandson. He pulled the hands away and saw what he had been hoping to explain. The hourglass-shaped marks in Naruto's eyes. Omnigan, he whispered, and knew that he would have to wait now as Naruto was with the spirit that passed on the Genka that had been his mother's. "Now all I can do is wait and hope all goes well," the Hokage said, picking up the 15-year-old and placing him on the couch before going and getting one of the comfortable chairs and the bag with the scrolls. "I should have done this months ago," the old man said with a sigh, "but now it was too late." "Mindscape, where the hell am I?" Na said, looking around. It was all shadows and mist. "You were in your mindscape." Na turned to see an old man with a beard that went down to his waist. He was wearing robes similar to those that the Hokage wore, but they had the spiral symbol that Naruto's own jacket sported. "Who are you, and what do you mean in my mindscape?" The whisker-marked blonde said. "Use small words." "He's confused, but not as dumb as he pretends," a soft feminine voice said from the shadows. I see," the old man said. "Very well. My name is Asmouth, and I am the spirit of the Omnigan that has passed down through your family for generations. Your mother was the last to possess it and has waited until you were older to activate yours." "Ha, stop playing stupid kid," the feminine voice said, annoyed. "He's talking about your Genka and it finally activating." Na looked around. "Who else is there?" "Later. Focus on what the spirit says. Your Hokage is waiting," the voice said from the mists. "Yes, we have much to talk about. I hope you're not as stubborn as your mother, aunt." "You knew my mom," Na said, looking at the old man eagerly. "Who was she? What was she like? Did you know my dad?" he asked, cutting over what Asmouth was saying later. "Young Ulling," Asmouth said. "I need to tell you about the Omnigan and the abilities you will gain." Na sighed, disappointed that he was once more denied knowing about his mother and father. The old man gestured and the shadows and mist vanished, and they were in a cosy-looking room that had several plush-looking chairs, books, and a desk which the old man sat down behind. "Now Naruto, I am to tell you about the Omnigan. In order to use it, you need like the Uchiha and Hyuga to focus chakra behind your eyes that powers up the Omnigan. Do so now." Na did as he was told, and he felt his eyes shift. Whoa, he saw a mirror on the wall and looked in. He saw his eyes' hand changed. The whites of his eyes became black and the blue looked like an hourglass and glowed. "This is kind of cool," Naruto said, turning his head and looking at his eyes closer. "Now then, you have 12 forms. The DNA was hidden in your bloodline until it activated," Asmouth said, getting the blonde's attention. 13. The voice from the shadows said. The old man looked annoyed. 12. "Well, talk about it later," he said to the shadows. Na thought about it. "How do I know what they look like?" "You will need to meditate to learn about each form and then train with it," Asmouth said, "but be warned, there is limits." "Oh," Na said, "you can only hold the form for 15 minutes, after which you will return to your normal form. The Omnigan will recharge from anywhere from 5 minutes to a day." "What? Why so long?" Na asked. "It depends on the form and how much energy they use up," the old man said. "Your first form I can tell you about, however, let's begin." End of Mindscape. Here Serby looked on as Naruto seemed to relax and he sighed as it meant that his body had finished adapting to the new flood of information and power. "Well, my boy, it looks like we will have a lot more to talk about than I had first planned," he said with a resigned sigh. An hour later, Naruto was looking at the old man who had protected him over the years. "I understand," the Hokage looked at the boy. Sadly, the posture was changed. "I know you did it to protect me, and that's what makes it worse," Harrison said sadly. "Everyone of age knew the secret. Yet, you who had the right to know, I kept it from." Naruto sighed as he sipped the tea. Now what? The Hokage smiled. You know your parentage. You know of your birthright. There is one more secret that I need to share with you. It happened the day of your birth. And for the next 10 minutes, Hirozen Serbi, the third Hokage of Konoha, told Naruto of the night of his birth and the sealing of the Kyuubi into the seal on his stomach. How his father wept as he sealed the most powerful of the Biju into his son, giving up his own life to stop the demon from destroying Konoha. His mother had died in the hospital due to complications of birth. But she was fine when my father took me. Right? Na asked. Hai sighed. She was weak. Your birth was difficult. And when she heard of your father's death, we think her heart gave up that moment, unaware that you lived. She died of a broken heart. Na asked sadly. The Hokage shrugged, uncertain, as no one was with her after the news had spread. The Hokage said. Na looked at the books and scrolls. You've kept them safe all this time. Hai smirked. You don't think I'm letting the council get away with their little games, do you? Na his head. You're giving them enough rope to hang themselves with, the blonde said. And now we need to discuss what you plan to do. I can't pretend anymore. It's cost me so much already. Na said. Take a week to get acclimated with your Kek Genka. I'll inform the instructors to ignore the chakra test for you as they have been for Rokif. Naruto had a grin that Hyo Hokage matched. It wasn't going to be pleasant in Konoha for some people in a week. Hirozen Sarurui sighed, looking at the man across the desk from him. I can't allow you to take the boy. Prowl stood there glaring at him. You have no say in the matter. The boy is of the royal line. His mother, he is the son of our leader. I saw him being beaten on the street after trying to buy food. The Kitsun warrior snarled. You have the crown prince living in a dilapidated apartment wearing rags and barely allowed to eat food. And what he does get to eat isn't fit for the rats. He's constantly assaulted by the village his father was leader and his mother. Prowl Sama Na must stay in Konoha. I swore to the Yandere and I swore to his mother. If one of the kids wouldn't have seen him, we would have continued to believe your lieutenant. I did what I had to. Manado made me swear, and yet you refused to share the reasoning he asked. You do not want to make us your enemy. Serbi Kusha thought highly of you. His looked at the Kitsun, the six tails whipping behind him, the black armor covering his body, the spear held to his back by chakra. I beg of you, Prowl snarled. Give me one reason. For 6 years, Serbi, you've lied. Our prince has been an outcast in his father's village, where your own people treat those with the plague with better manners. Your criminals are shown more respect. Yet the son of Manado Namikaze and our queen is treated worse than trash. I am trying to see the reason why I shouldn't have a squadron of death dealers here and level this village. Prowl Kalobi went insane. No one knows why the Yandere was forced to use a forbidden jutsu on that day 6 years ago. He was forced to use the Shinigami and seal the Kyuubi in his own son. Serbi watched as the Kitsun warrior froze. He sealed. The Kitsune warrior looked sick. You're telling me that his own father sealed his mother inside of him? She went insane and no one tried to figure out why. Didn't anyone try to break her out of it, or did you all just keep attacking? Seri blinked. You mean she went insane and no one stopped to see if she was suffering under a genjutsu? Wasn't she immune to them? Serbi asked, a sick feeling forming in his stomach. All but high-level ones. A sharing-powered one, the Kitsun said. Serbi froze as he remembered the hatred the Uchiha clan showed the Kitsun queen. He remembered the day a bit as branch family members of the Uchiha were seen attacking the Kyuubi. He froze, remembering thinking Minato had calmed the Kyuubi, and he remembered now seeing Uchiha hit a Heil attack on the Kyuubi's back. Okami, it looked like she went to attack Minato, but she was in pain. What have we done? Serbi relayed what he now remembered that day. Prowl's growls filled the room. I'll kill them. Too late, Serbi said. Atakiha 7 days ago murdered his clan save for his little brother who was still receiving medical and psychological treatment. I will take Na. You can't. Serbi sighed. The council, he sighed. When it was revealed that Na contained the Kyuubi, the council placed several seals on the boy. Prowl's eyes narrowed, such as if he crosses the village perimeter, he has a suicide seal that will explode in his brain. Prowl's growl deepened. The only way to guarantee its removal is if Na becomes a genin of the leaf. Upon completion of the academy, it will be removed. Prowl made a seal and a pair of foxes appeared. Lord Prowl, they said, bowing, you are to locate Prince Naruto and watch over him. If any try to harm him, protect him. They nodded and vanished. Prowl's eyes turned towards the Hokage. Then if he cannot leave, then I will arrange tutors and guards for him here. Where will they live? His apartment. He will live in his father's home as he should have. I did what I did to protect him from his father's enemies. Toby said. Yet the knives in the dark still find him in this village. You had your chance, Serby. Now it is mine. I am steward until the crown prince comes of age. And the day he does, if he permits me, I will pay this village back 100-fold for the hell they put him through. Prowl turned and was nearly to the door. My youngest is his age. He will be Prince Naruto's friend and bodyguard. Make sure your people know Serby. He is heir to more than your Yandere. He is the crown prince of the Kitsum and the Trump's village leader. Prowl vanished in smoke and flame, leaving a very tired old man wondering what he could do to fix all that had gone wrong. Na awoke once more in the hospital and groaned. I'm sick of this place. He thought, remembering how the nurses and doctors treated him. They ignore me anyways. Why am I here? The blue eyes looked around, noticing a stranger sitting in a chair next to the bed and another man wearing strange armor and a sword next to the door. Na also noticed they had tails. Who are they? Where is Oji-san? The blonde thought. Your Highness, the man in the chair said, standing and bowing to him. I am glad to see you are well. He motioned. Have the healer come and check him over. The guard nodded and stepped out of the room. Who are you? Na asked. I am Prowl, your Highness. The man said, I am the steward of the Kitsun. Stew what and why are you calling me Highness? Na asked confused. This man was not like the villagers. Steward is one that holds the throne until the bloodline of the king or queen can return. You na or son to our queen. On your 21st birthday, I will turn over the throne to you and you will then lead our people. Na looked at the Kitsune, his eyes wide. Prince I see can't be a prince. I'm an orphan. The freak everyone says so. I'm nothing more than a monster. Prowl felt his hatred for the people of Konoha spike, but he looked at the 6-year-old before him. His eyes softened. You are not a freak or a monster. You are of Kitsun blood, royal blood. If I had known you were alive 6 years ago, I would never have left you here, your Highness. For that, I am eternally sorry. Na watched as Prowl went to a knee beside his bed. The Kitsune's head was bowed, the tails laying still behind him. I asked for forgiveness, your Highness, even though I don't deserve it. I failed you and your mother. I wasn't here to protect you, and you have suffered. I didn't know what to say. It wasn't your fault. I mean, the blue eyes met those of the steward. The boy was confused, and Prowl wanted to hurt those that hurt the prince so badly that he couldn't. It was. I took the Hoage's word that you had died that dark day. What day? Na asked. Prowl sighed. What do you know of October the 10th 6 years ago? Prowl asked. Na looked at him. My birthday. It's the day the Yandere killed the Kyuubi and saved Konoha from its rampage. Prowl growled. Damn it. They aren't even telling the truth. And to you even less. He looked at Na. Do you even know your parents' names? Na shook his head and Prowl was on his feet. The healer came in. Check over his Highness. I will be right back. Prowl-sama. Na asked, thinking he'd angered the Kitsune. I'll be right back, your Highness. I need to have words with Sandaime Hokage and his dereliction of duty to you. Prowl was out the door. His growled orders to the guards not to allow anyone not Kitsune in the room. His Sui puffed on his pipe. He was waiting for Prowl. The steward of the Kitsune nation had gathered healers, guards, and servants in a short amount of time. He'd seen in the spying crystal as they remodeled the Yandaime's home and prepared it for Naruto's arrival. He'd already received complaints from the hospital at being bossed around the Kitsune taking over the floor with the demon brat. Saratobi sighed as he inhaled deeply the rich tobacco. Fools, they wouldn't even help him. And when someone else does, they complain. Hate. The administrator was currently with Abeki down in the dungeons undergoing interrogation session to see how many times the hospital staff had refused to help the boy in 6 years. He felt the pressure of oncoming chakra and knew Prowl would be there in a moment. The door opened and the steward entered the office. That boy is emotionally abused to the point he can't see anyone apologizing to him. Prowl snarled out. And care to explain to me why you hid his parentage from him, his father's enemies? What harm would it have done to tell him his mother and father's names about them, and worse to leave him ignorant of his own mother being sealed inside him? Prowl roared. The steward of the Kitsun court looked at the human before him. Kasha and Manado must be disappointed in you. Serbi, pray I can heal his body, mind, heart, and soul. Heroes and Serbi looked at the Kitsun before him. I do as well. The truth must come out. Keeping the village believing this lie will be more harmful than anything. Serbi sighed. I did what I thought was best at the time. He sighed. But I will do as you ask. I will have all of Konoha gathered and speak the truth. Prowl nodded. Now I must get my youngest. Roar. He smiled at this. I think he and Prince Naruto will be friends. They will balance one another out. Prowl turned. The eyes of the Kitsun court are upon Konoha now. Serbi, pray that I do not need to leave a garrison here to protect His Highness from further attacks. My gut is telling me to do so, but for now, he will have his personal guards and staff. Saratobi nodded and watched the steward leave his office for the second time in as many days. I shudder to think what armed Kitsun warriors on the streets of Konoha would do to the populace. Come on, Ra, we're going to be late. Narita Zuaki Namikaze, the crown prince of the Kitsun court, rushed down the stairs of his family home in Konoha. It had been 6 years since he'd found out his heritage. 6 years he'd learned under tutors and had his best friend bodyguard come to Konoha. Things had changed drastically all over Konoha. The day he'd been released from the hospital, a nurse tried to stab him with a syringe, but Ravage, one of his guards, caught her and broke her arm in 9 places with a flick of his wrist. On the streets, someone threw a rock, only to have a fox at his throat and pinning him to the ground. Fools! Ravage snarled as he held his twin scimitar blades out. Now you dare attack the crown prince of the Kitsun. You would declare war. The black-furred Kitsun warrior snarled. Saratobi had made the announcement that day about Naruto's parentage and what would happen to those who attacked the boy now. Prowl and his son had arrived, and the two boys, after some hesitation, began to play. Games Ra had learned from the other kids his age. Naruto loved. From that moment on, they had become best friends. Na looked at the wall clock and Omio won't care how you look. Thundering steps were heard as Ra leapt from the top of the stairs and landed in a crouch before his prince. Yes, you look pretty now. Come on, he said, and Ra shifted to his fox form and Naruto placed him on his shoulder. Have a good day, my prince. Ka, his first tutor and personal cook, said from the kitchen. We will see you after school, Ka, the blonde said, slipping out the mansion. Ravage and Misha were waiting. The personal guards would go with him to the school and remain just outside the gate. They hadn't liked it, but to keep peace with the ninja, they would stay outside the gate. Besides, Ra was in the room with him, and if the young Kitsun couldn't delay long enough for the elder warriors to get there, it wouldn't matter. Misha was a tan Kitsun female with 2 tails. She rose far in the guard, and when it had been called that the prince had been found alive, she had rushed Konoha to swear her skills to his service. Misha, a fine warrior, a beautiful Kitsun, but she had been wounded badly as a kid and would never have children of her own. She took the protection of the crown prince very seriously. She'd loved the queen who'd taken her in, and her son would not come to harm while she was there. Ravage was a 6-tailed kitsune with a scar over his left eye. He wore strange clothes and armor, and his curved blades were some of the deadliest weapons around. He was captain of the royal guard, and when the queen had been reported dead, he had felt his life had ended as well. With the news of the crown prince Na being alive, Ravage had gathered the guard and rushed to Konoha. He'd been shocked at how the people treated the boy, and if not for the steward's direct order, he would have wiped them all out. Ravage and Misha were the only 2 to be with Naruto constantly. The other 7 spots on the prince's guard, his shadow, as they were called, remained at the mansion, paired and on the lookout, ready to be summoned. Naruto scratched the ears of the rust-red-furred 2-tailed fox on his shoulder. No one in Konoha knew that Ra and the fox were one and the same, save the Hokage. None of them knew that the Kitsun could transform from human to fox form. Today's the day, Naruto said softly. Over the last 6 years, he'd learned much from the tutors Prowl had left. How to speak properly, manners. His grades improved drastically. Well, it helped that Prowl had words with the teachers and informed them if they tampered with his tests in any way, they would be killed outright, and the Hokage backed him. With no one damaging his work or switching tests out on him to different ones, Naruto soon reached top of the class. He learned the fighting style of the Kitsun and low-level kid Jutsu Nin and Gen. Foxfire, illusions, and chakra manipulation were must-learns for all kits. You will do well, my prince, Misha said. Ravage kept his eyes moving, but his grunt of agreement indicated he was listening. Today, you become a genin and get rid of the seal the foolish council placed on you. Ravage really wanted to kill the fools of this village. Putting a suicide seal on a child, will you be walking Lady Hinata home? Misha asked and smiled, seeing the prince blush. Hinata Hyuga. After the lineage had been announced, Hyashi had appeared at the Namikaze gates with his wife and daughter. He'd explained that Manado and he had set up a marriage contract between their eldest children. Hai said he had some thoughts about Naruto's heritage, but every time he'd asked, the Hokage had denied it. Now that they knew, they were currently promised. And upon Naruto's 16th birthday, they would be formally engaged. On their 18th, they would be wed. I would like to, Na said after calming his blush down. Hinata and Naruto had become friends over the past 6 years, and the Hyuga Aries had become more sure of herself. The stutter she developed after the kidnapping soon faded. The Kitsun healers had saved her mother, who had lost a lot of blood during childbirth, and Kagumi Hyuga and baby Hanib live. While Kagumi would never be able to use her chakra again, the Hyugas were just happy she was alive and they owed a debt to the Kitsun. Naruto said there was no debt between family, earning major points with Hyashi. Very well, Misha said, drawing Naruto from his thoughts. He could feel Ra on his shoulder shaking, and he pinched the fox's ear. I wouldn't laugh, Fuzzy. Ra hated the name that Na gave him in fox form, but they couldn't very well call him Ra around others. Hey Na. Oh. Look, your girlfriend. Na whispered to the fox, who perked up seeing the blonde girl approaching. Good morning, Enoch-chan. He said. Hey, Fuzzy. Eno said, scratching the fox's ears. Na found it funny, but sad as Eno loved the little fox, but swore up and down she hated Ra, who had gone out of his way to prove his worth to her. Let's see. He's given her flowers, bought sweets, ribbons, even went out with Ravage to find special stones. What else? Yes. He saw the necklace around her neck. He spent weeks getting a purple agate stone and encasing his lost fang inside. Naruto felt bad for his friend. He'd gone out of his way to be noticed by the Yamanaka Aries, but she brushed him off and would talk about only Sasuke. And yet, she's kept everything he's ever given her. Na thought. Where's your sidekick? She asked, falling into step with him after giving a nod to the bodyguards. Ra. Na asked. This is the first time she's asked about him. He's around. Eno nodded. So, you ready for the final exam? Eno asked. And Na wanted to ask her about Raw, and he could feel the fox on his shoulder boring a hole into his head. Yeah. Say, Enoch-chan, why do you ask about Raw? I mean, every time I see you around him, you're yelling at him, Na said. Eno sighed. I sigh. I just wish he would leave me alone. She finally said, and Naruto felt bad for his best friend as he felt the fox seem to wilt. I mean, I like Sasake, __, and him always asking me out and giving me gifts makes it seem like I'm spoken for. Na winced. You are. If you would have turned down the gifts or returned them, it would have been nicer, Eno. The blonde prince of the Kitsun thought as they walked the whole time the fox on his shoulder seemed to wilt. I mean, he looks so feral, that mane of hair and those claws. Eno kept going, and he has like no clue. She stopped as the fox leapt off Naruto's shoulder and rushed off. What's wrong with him? Misha put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. I shall summon another fox to accompany you, my prince. I think Fuzzy wasn't feeling well from breakfast. The Kitsune warrior said. Na, however, wanted nothing more than to chase after his friend. He ignored the rest of Eno's babble about Sasake as a fox showed up. It was white with a black mark on its shoulder that looked like a spiral. This is Rei's, Misha said as the fox hopped onto Naruto's shoulder away from Eno. The prince of the Kitsune noticed the harsh look and closed his eyes, knowing Eno was going to get hell from Ra's older brother at some point or another. He smiled seeing Hinata and Neji waiting at the gate. The day looked a bit brighter seeing the Hyuga Aries waiting for him. Ra in his fox form sulced under a bush under the window to Naruto's classroom. He hadn't gone far, but he just couldn't be around the girl who had caught his eyes 6 years ago. Why? She wears my tooth. She's accepted my gifts, so why doesn't she acknowledge me? The fox thought, I'm a fine warrior. I passed my trials. I made my kill. Ra had asked his father if he could face the Uchiha in combat for Ino's heart, but he had been denied as he said the Uchiha was protected by the humans and they would go to war over him. Yet, they think attacking our prince is like kicking garbage on the street. Ra was confused. The lunch bell rang and he saw Ino and some of the other girls following the raven-haired boy. He then turned and saw Hinata with Na along with Rei's riding on Naruto's shoulder. I've failed in my duty. I allowed my personal feelings prevent me from doing my duty. Making a decision, Ra stood and crept towards his lord. Na had been worried all morning over Ross since he'd run off. It wasn't like the Kitsune to leave like that. He knew his friend was hurt over what Ino had said. Hell, I'd be destroyed if Hinata said something similar. The blonde thought. He shook his head seeing the Yamanaka join the dozen other girls stalking Sasaki. Hinata had noticed Ra wasn't with him and asked what had happened. She knew of the fox guard. In low whispers, Na explained the morning walk, and it had taken him, grabbing her wrist from striking Ino ahead of them with a juke and strike to the back of the skull. Rei's gave a soft growl and they both turned to see Ra slinking towards them. He got just out of arm's reach and went down on his belly before rolling over and exposing his stomach and neck to Na. Get up, you goof. I'm not mad at you. I understand you were hurt. Na said and Ra stood but still didn't approach. Fuzzy. Then in a lower voice, roar. The fox looked sad and if possible, Na knew that if his friend was in his humanoid form, he would look devastated. Standing up, he went and scooped the fox up in his arms. Rei's was surprised and had leapt to the bench. Na cradled the fox to him. I'm so sorry, my friend. Na held the fox and he could feel the tremors. Na held the fox till they passed. It was then they heard the bell. We missed lunch, Hinata said. She was petting Ra trying to help calm him down. Could care less about food right now or class. Na said he saw Misha at the gate and he gestured that he had Ra. Rei looked torn between duty to his prince and duty to his family. Go use the bush to transform. Na whispered. Rei looked at him. Damn it. Take it as an order. Then your brother needs you more than I do. I'll be in the classroom. Ra needs you now. Rei's gave a growl. I don't care. Na answered. As you prince, I order you to see to your brother. I'll be fine. Rei went to the tall bushes and shifted. He rushed out and knelt at the feet of his prince, his clawed hands stroking his brother's back. I'm here, little one. Ra shook and made a gesture. He cares about you more than his safety at this point. Naruto looked at Hinata. You best return to class, Hina-chan. Tell Oruruka that my fox isn't doing well, and I'll be back after I've returned him home. Hinata nodded and kissed his cheek. It had become easy for the two to do that. Simple touches and kisses and hugs. The first time both had blushed red enough to light up a room. Na stood with Ra and Rei's at his side. They headed to the gate. My lord, Ravage said, stepping out of the shadows. Don't you have finals? I don't care. Ra needs me more. The three elder kitsans exchanged a look. Misha sighed and transformed to a larger adult fox. I will accompany you to class. Rei's take Ra home. No, my prince, don't argue. We know you care, but if you fail, it will be another year and a setback to all you and Lord Prowl have planned, the adult fox said. Ra in his fox form nudged him. Sad eyes telling him to go. He would be fine with Rei. Fine, but I'll be home as soon as the bell sounds. Na said handing his friend off to Rei. Take care of him, he said. Rei's nodded. Go, my prince, Ravage said, indicating his return to school. Naruto sighed as he walked back to the school. Misha in her fox form followed at his side. What should I call you in this form? Ice. Will you talk? Na asked, lowering his voice. Only if I have to. Ra and Rei's aren't old enough to speak in this form. The white fox said. Rei's isn't old enough. Na asked. Yes. Sigh. There is so much you still don't know, and if we had the time, we'd have trained you properly, but spending time learning the Huma N ways have be harmful to your kitsun education. Rei's won't be able to speak in this form till his 50th year. Wow. Na thought. And that is an eye blink to kitsun. Na asked and got a nod from Misha, giving him a lot more to think about. Na entered the halls of the academy and made his way to his classroom. He slid the door open. Na, sorry, Aruka-sensei. It seems some of my foxes had some bad food last night. Misha, my guard has taken Ray's home. Sorry, but Ice was the only other fox available, unless you'd like Ravage to return to the classroom. No, that will be fine, Haruka said. The Chunin and most of the ninja of Konoha were intimidated by the warrior. Ice growled and Na looked to see Mizuki glaring at him, but then his expression changed when he noticed Na looking at him. Yeah, like I'll believe you're my friend. You smell of deceit, Na thought, climbing the steps to sit by Hinata. Hey Hina-chan, he said taking his seat. Ice being bigger sat on the floor on his other side right on the step. Who is this one Narukan? She asked softly. Ice Na said. He took her hand and using the language the two of them came up with tapped out his message to her. She nodded in understanding. Most of the class ignored Na, but Ino turned and was looking at the fox. Hey, she's got the same coloring as Misha. Na groaned mentally. Leave it to Ino. She comes from the same region. Na said. Ino nodded and turned around as Haruka and Mizuki continued on about the tests. Boring. All we have is the Enjutsu and we're done. He thought. Na smirked as Mizuki looked upset that Na passed the tests. He hides it well. Na thought. Every time the man came close, Misha's Ice growled and Narat patted her head. They were leaving the academy. Narat had the headband with the Vils leaf symbol on it. Ice was on one side and Hinata was on the other. We've got a meeting, Ravage said. When they reached the gate, the council sent this. He presented the scroll to Na. He took at it and looked at the captain of his guard. Any word on Ra? He is with his brother, Ravage said, looking around, not wanting to say much with so many people around. Na nodded and looked at the scroll, shaking his head. Presumptuous, aren't they? He muttered, reading the summon to present himself to them. Hinata-chan, I'm afraid I won't be able to escort you home today. It seems the village council has to make my life difficult. He looked at Ice. Would you please contact Lord Prowl and have him and Misha meet us at the tower? As you wish, Misha's Ice said and ran off. Hinata hugged him. Don't lose your temper, she said, kissing his cheek and walking towards her home. Your Highness, Ravage asked. They demand I present myself to them. Want to bet they try and come up with some crap that I cheated? Ravage shook his head. They will remove the seals on you or die. That is all they can do. Na snorted. I like that you have such an optimistic view. Mother, father, 8-year-old Sasuke Uchiha said. Her long raven-colored bangs falling across her eyes. She sighed at this. Everything from clothes to hairstyle had been designed to make her look like a boy, even her name. Mom said it was all for my protection. Only her and father know, not even Big Brother knows. The whole Uchiha district was quiet, too quiet as the moon was barely past the 10 o'clock mark in the sky, and Sasaki had passed quiet buildings that were usually busy all night long. Entering the darkened home that was her family's, she looked around. Not even the hall light was on. Mom would have waited up for me. No matter how late I was out studying, the raven-haired child thought. Mom, she called out again. A chill ran down her spine as she entered the dojo, an odd smell coming to her nose. She froze seeing her parents stretched out, a pool of blood around their bodies. About time, a cold voice said. Sasaki turned and saw her brother. Who are you? You know who I am, little brother. Came the coldness. I know who you look like, but you're not my big brother. Sasaki backed up several steps, stepping in the spilled blood of her parents. The naughty Tachi grinned. Why aren't you a smart boy? The grin was something Sasuke had seen on the face of one of her uncles before he'd been executed. You spotted what not even the rest of this pathetic excuse of a clan has become. Hood, I was going to leave you alive, Sasuke, __, but it will be Itachi that gains my favors once he is properly motivated. Sasaki managed to leap away and the Nataki's fireball burned the corpses of her parents. Get back here, boy. Sasaki did what her father had told her to do long ago. She dove into the floor vent and allowed gravity to carry her to the hidden levels under the compound. You can't run from me, boy. The voice of Nadati followed her. Sasaki whimpered as she finally landed and it took a moment for her to straighten out and begin to crawl in the vents. Her mind remembering what her father told her long ago. Flashback in a flashback. If something ever happens to me or your mother, you are to go to the 3rd level in the sub-levels. Make your way to the hidden cells. Sasaki listened to her father, Fugaku, who was looking very serious after one meeting with the clan elders. Father? Sasaki asked. I mean it. It was then that her father showed her where to go. They ended up in the third sublevel and Sasaki realized that no one had been here in a long time. Your mother and I are the only ones who have been here, Fugaku said as if reading Sasuke's thoughts. And Sasaki realized that there was a clean path. They went past numerous cells and came to the end of the hall where there was a last cell, and Sasaki saw it was different. There were numerous seals on the cell door and walls on either side of the door. Here is our greatest triumph and our greatest shame, Fugaku said softly. End flashback. In the flashback, Sasaki felt tears slip down her cheeks. Her parents were dead and her brother was being framed. Itachi was sent out on a mission by the Hokage earlier today. I hope Big Brother is safe. She continued to belly crawl and it had taken her nearly an hour crawling through the vents. In the upper levels could be heard the sound of explosions, and Sasaki knew that the fake Itachi was blasting his way past the seals her father had set up over the years. Using a dirty sleeve to wipe her cheeks, Sasaki continued her slow progress until she spotted the proper vent. I did it. I've made it, Sasaki thought as she pulled the grate open and slipped out, landing on the floor in a crouch. She listened and could hear explosions getting closer, and she knew she didn't have much time. She passed the numerous cells and like before they were empty. Her eyes in the darkness fell on the door at the end of the hall, the seals giving off a faint glow. Can I do this? Was father pulling my leg? She thought back to what her father had told her, then shook her head. Father might be a joker behind the walls away from the eyes of Konoha, but he would never joke about anything serious. She reached for the door just as the door at the far end of the hall exploded. Sasaki turned to see the person wearing her brother's face standing there amidst smoking clothes. There you are, brat. Definitely not Itachi. I see you enjoyed father's traps. He and mother took great pleasure in making them. Fugaku was an idiot. The person wearing her brother's face approached and Sasaki tried opening the cell door, but it wouldn't budge. Oh no. The man wearing Itachi's face grabbed her and spun her around before backhanding her with enough force to drive her through the door. When she landed at the bottom of some stairs, she had a spike of wood through her forearm from the broken door. Getting to her knees as the person at the top of the stairs stepped through the shattered door, blocking out the light. Sasaki felt tears slip from her eyes, closing them as she knew she was about to join her clan in death. From behind her, in the darkness of the cell, movement could be heard. Dresden pulled his cloak tighter against the biting cold. He'd been here at the outskirts of 10 towns of Icewindendale for over a year now. He'd made some friends, first with a human girl named Katy Bree, and then later with her adoptive dwarf, father, Bruenor Battlehammer. In fact, the pair had just left to return to the dwarven tunnels after offering him shelter for the coming winter. He would in fact be joining them tomorrow after he secured his cave. It was slowly becoming a home with help from Katy Bree and Bruenor, who would grumble and complain and then show up with supplies, saying, "Dang, blasted orc for brains brought the wrong supplies. I can't take this back, so you might as well use it." Elf. Dres smiled as he thought of the pair and how they had helped him. Katy Bree, at first a child who saw him for his heart and not the color of his skin or the deeds of his race. Bruenor at first had put his foot down and forbade his daughter from ever seeing the dark elf again. But Katy Bree as usual showed her heart, and when Dre helped kill some of the creatures that roamed the snow-covered tundra to save her, Bruenor had kept his axe from taking the drow's head off. It was a friendship that was built first on respect of skill and then over time the discussions. The one common factor had been Katy Bree and Dre had been amazed by the young girl who showed no fear and had a good judge of character. He was reaching for his travel pack to make sure it was ready when there was a flash of light in his darkening cave. Years of experience had him spin about in his hands going for the hilts of his sims, but staying from drawing them as his lavender eyes took in the appearance of his guests. The first was a woman with blood-red hair with black tips. Her eyes caught him as they were red, making him wonder if she could see in the dark like his kin with their infration. He then noticed she didn't have ears, and it took him a moment to spot the 2 fox ears at top of her head. As he looked closer, she had 9 fox tails. It took him time to spot them as at first they were wrapped around her in the second person. A young boy no older than Katy Bree, he had the blondest hair he'd seen yet since he'd come to the surface. He saw even through the blood and dirt that the young boy had whisker marks on his cheeks. Judging from the condition of both, they were in bad shape. He spotted bruises and cuts on the boy's arm that he could see. And when the woman's tails moved, he saw she was wounded very badly. He spoke softly so as not to spook them. "Let me help you." The woman's eyes shot to him and he saw her studying him in a way that reminded him of Guavua when she first met him all those decades ago in the Underdark. He saw her trying to speak and when she did it was halting. "Safe na," she gasped out through bloodstained lips and moved her tails to show the boy who drizzed he was skin and bones malnourished and he felt anger flare deep inside of him at any who would do this to a child. "Save him," the foxwoman said again. And there was desperation in her eyes. Despite the wrong words, the message was clear to the D. He caught the boy when she let him go and moved him to his cot, then went to grab his medical supplies. "Thank me that Bruenor brought me fresh supplies to restock with." He said he washed the wounds and used the salve to coat the wounds and wrap them. He was shocked and appalled at the wounds the boy had, not to mention some of the older looking scars. Someone had a serious hate for this child. The ranger thought as he finished and turned to the woman who was slumped against the wall. He had not seen something like this except for his time in his homeland. "Meneboanzen, thank you," she said in her broken speech. "The boy is cared for. Now allow me to see to your wounds," he said, and moved closer. "Too late for me," the woman gave a chuckle. "Will you watch him?" She shook her head as if that wasn't the word she wanted. "Protect him?" the woman asked. Drez wasn't sure how to respond. The woman showed no fear of him or what his kind could be. She lashed out and gripped his wrist in her hand tightly. And as weak as he thought she was, her grip was like iron when he didn't answer. Swear on that." She pointed to the onyx statue that was peeking out of his pouch. "Raise him," she continued. "I am an outcast. Surely your own kind." He started here. She laughed and it broke into a wet hacking cough. "They did to him swear." He glanced at the boy he had just tended and he knew his own father Zach Nyan would do no less. His decision made, he looked the foxwoman in the eyes and spoke. "I will raise and teach Na." He looked at the wounded blonde boy then at the woman who nodded. "I will raise and teach Na all I know. I will protect him and guide him as if he were my own. This I swear on my dearest friend." He held up the onyx figurine of the panther, who had been his friend since he'd run away from his homeland. The woman relaxed a bit, and she pulled a pouch out from where it had been amidst her tails. All the next several words were lost to him, and the woman was breathing heavy. "Old man gave for him." She handed Dre the pouch, and he put it aside, making a mental note to look later. "Let me see statue please," the woman asked as her breathing was getting more and more ragged. Dre pulled the panther statue and held it as she traced her hands over it. So simple, so wondrous. The woman gave a soft smile, handing back the statue of the panther. She then moved her hands in a series of strange patterns. Dre at first thought she using some unknown sign language, then a spell of some kind. "Tell Na, I'm sorry. Gift 10 years. Read scrolls, old man. Explain," she said. And Dre watched as she dissolved into a red mist. And when it was done, there was a statue of a fox with 9 tails. It reminded him of some of the iron Bruenor had shown him in the forge. It glowed red. When he reached out to touch it, there wasn't any heat. While looking at the new figurine, Dre didn't notice the red mist swirl around Naruto's head and slip into his mouth. The strange mark on the boy's stomach had broken and faded away under the bandages and wouldn't be discovered until the drought changed the bandages later, and he had no idea what it would mean until Na read the scrolls to him later. Drez looked at the spot on his floor where the woman had been in the figurine now sat. Then he looked at the boy. Nah, he thought he would keep his bow, but he knew he would need help. Grabbing his gear and after wrapping the new figurine and placing it in his pack along with the pouch, he wrapped Na up warmly in thick blankets. He stepped out of his cave and into the fading light of day. He had some friends to see and hopefully answers. When Na awoke, he awoke feeling surprisingly warm. Opening his blue eyes, he saw he was in some sort of building. There was a fire nearby roaring, and he noticed the walls, ceiling, and floor were made of stone. "Oh, you're awake." He turned and saw a red-haired girl, his age, coming through the door carrying a tray with rolls of bandages in a bowl he assumed held water, but he remembered his recent encounters and backed across the bed, falling off and crab walked till his back was against the wall. Now yo. Pen in her wounds, the girl said, having a strange accent. She put the tray down near the bed and came towards him, but stopped as she saw the fear in his eyes. He watched as she backed towards the door and yelled for someone. It wasn't long before he heard the pounding of boots and his hearing barely picked up a second set of steps and two figures entered the doorway. One was short, wearing a strange hat with horns, one of them broken. He had a red beard and he had just managed to get his short, stocky body in the doorway seconds behind the second figure. It was the second figure that drew his eyes. He had dark skin, white hair, pointy ears, and lavender eyes. A slender build, but it was the eyes. The eyes he had seen only a few times in his life. Warmth. Nah, the purple-eyed man said. Can you understand me? Nah blinked, unaware that he had been given one of several gifts to help him in his new world. He looked around, his head turning as he surveyed the room. I didn't know the boy was an elf, the short-bearded man said, and Nah flinched. Ease, my friend. Purple Eyes crouched but still near the bed. Nah, my name is Drez. The woman you were with brought you to me. Hu-chan, Nah asked, looking around for the woman. Is that her name? Dre asked. She didn't tell me before. Nah closed his eyes to hold back the tears. She told him before what could happen. Keilu, he said softly. Ye done keeping him on the cold stone floor? The girl asked in a tone that indicated she thought they were being stupid. His bandages need to be changed and ye can talk while doing it. The short-bearded man looked at her. Don't be scolding me and me own homegg girl. I not be needing it from me own daughter. Dre ignored the two bickering as he had in the past, though amusing. It wasn't his priority right now. Kaeli, he said, testing the name, asked me to watch over you and raise you. He said, seeing the blue eyes lock on him. She gave me these for you. Dre reached over and held up the large pouch. He saw Naruto's eyes lock on the spiral design and his bottom lip trembled. GI, he said as a tear slipped from his eyes and trailed down to the whisker marks on his cheeks. GI must mean the old man the woman mentioned. The Dark L Ranger thought. He grabbed the pack and held it before him. She left this as well, Drez said as he pulled out the figurine that now had the coloration of a normal fox. Hu-chan, Drez watched as Naruto grabbed the figurine and inspected it carefully. A smile was on the boy's face as he traced the statue much like Drez did when inspecting Gwen Withers. Don't be tell me that well have a blasted fox on top of the cat running around. Drez looked at his surly friend and shrugged. So she really left me. Dre looked at Nah. I am sorry. I don't know what's happened to you, but the condition you both were in. Nah clutched the little statue and pouched to him as he began to speak. I was out getting some food. Something is happening in the world across the ocean. Queen Clarion said as she looked up at the night sky. She looked at her advisor. In the human world, it is October the 10th. He said, consulting his clipboard. Something has altered the balance. Another of her advisors said. Queen Clarion looked out over the sky. Keep everyone here, Your Majesty. I must see what has happened. Something is calling to me even now. I will return, she said and flew away. The advisors looked on shocked. It had been some time that the Queen had left Pixie Hollow without an escort. What should we do? One asked as the Queen commanded. Keep everyone here. I'm sure they are all feeling what is happening and are curious. The two exchanged looks. You sit on Tinkerbell. The older one sighed. I always get the difficult task. Queen Clarion flew the currents. Her mind was trying to figure out the sensation she was feeling. She knew her council was concerned, but it was something that called to her, and as she flew, she knew that whatever she found would change all she knew. She felt the pull and flew down. She saw the land known as Japan, and she could feel the pull was deeper. She flew, allowing magic to lead her, and she found a shrine and entered a portal behind the altar, entering the false wall. Clarion entered the elemental nations for the first time in her life. She knew about them. She had learned about them when she had become queen. It was a place that was beside the mortal world, a step out of place, a side dimension. She followed the pull and found herself in a forest that she wished would be back in the other world. The trees were old and sang stories that she wished she could stay and listen to, but the pull was stronger and she flew. The sun was rising when she flew over the village and she gasped at the destruction she saw. Humans were moving about and she could see them moving the dead and wounded. A sense of loss filled the air. She followed the pull to a tower. Landing on the windowsill, she peeked in, spotted an old human. No, she heard him say. The other man was equally as old, and he was covered in bandages. There was a sense of wrong and evil pouring off of him. Serbi, you must realize the child is the key to our victory. The bandaged one spoke. I am telling you for the last time, Danzo. The one called Sarutobi said, rising from behind his desk. Naruto will not be used as a weapon. The fourth Hokage sacrificed his life to stop the Kyuubi, and I will not have his legacy turned into a weapon. You aim at whomever you wish. This is not over. The Genturki is a resource. The council will. Sarutobi grabbed Danzo and pulled him close. Do not threaten me with the council. You and the council brought me out of retirement with the death of Manado. I will speak with the council later today. Now get out of my office. Danzo staggered as he was shoved backwards. This isn't over, Serbi, Danzo said and stormed out of the office, slamming the door. That's what I am afraid of, Serbi said. The door slamming woke the room's other occupant, and Clarion watched as the old human Sarutobi went to a crib and lifted a wrapped bundle. She gasped, seeing the foxtail ears and whisker marks. A kitsune, she thought. There, nah, she heard the old human say. I wish there was something I could do, someone I could trust you with. They all see you as the Kyuubi. If they only knew that your human father sealed your own grandfather into you. If your mother had survived, she would be your champion. Instead, all you have is a tired old man who isn't up to the task at hand. Clarion didn't know why she did it. She saw the open balcony doors and flew in. She hovered before the aged human's face. I will take him. Sarutobi was surprised and looked at the tiny woman who was hovering before his face. What are you, a spirit? He asked her. I am Clarion, Queen of the Fairies. I felt the passing of the being you know as the Kyuubi and came to investigate. You hold in your arms the last kitsune child. They were thought extinct ages ago. Serbi sat at his desk, cradling the babe he called Naruto in his arms. Clarion landed on his desk and looked at him. Fairies, they're myth, he said, and realized what he said. I'm sorry, Your Highness. It's just fairies are child tales told to help children sleep. He looked at the baby in his arms. He saw the blue slit eyes were on the fairy, and he watched as she fluttered up to stand on his arm and look at the baby. I heard the other human. He wants to make this child into some kind of weapon. I saw all of the villagers calling for this baby's death. He is the child of Manado Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, our former leader, and his wife Kusha Uzumaki, who herself was a vixen. They died this night, Kasha at the hands of a masked attacker, and Monado as he had to use his life to seal Kurama away in his own grandchild. Clarion looked at him and he explained, Kusha was in labor and Kurama had come out of concern for his last child. The masked attacker did something that had Kurama transform into his Kyuubi form, and he was mad with grief and rage. All attempts to stop he failed. Manado did what he could and made a deal with the Shinigami to seal Kurama inside this seal. Serbi lifted the blanket to show Clarion the seal. Everyone thinks with Naruto's looks that he is the Kyuubi. I know he is a Hanu, a half-human, half-demon child. Clarion smiled at the child, who returned it with a toothless smile. Let me take him. He will grow up safe and loved. Serbi was uncertain. I will send some of my fairies to collect things he will need to know, and when he's older, I will give him a choice to return here. Sarutobi thought about it, his eyes going to the photo on the desk. It was of Manado and a pregnant Kusha. He thought of Danzo's threat and knew that the man wouldn't stop until he had his way. Putting Naro down on the desk, give me a moment to gather something. Clarion went to the baby, and she reached out to stroke his cheek in a soothing manner. When her hand touched the baby's skin, he glowed, and to her surprise, Naruto shrunk and she found him the size of a baby fairy. Using her dagger, she cut the blanket down to size and rewrapped him and was picking him up in her arms when Serbi returned with a scroll. What happened? He asked in surprise. I am uncertain. Magic was involved, but how and why, I do not know. Clarion said she had planned on calling on some birds to help carry the baby. Sarutobi placed the scroll on the desk. Uncertain now. I or one of my people will return for what you wish to send. As you can see, my hands will be a bit full, Clarion said. Serbi felt tears slip from his eyes. Tell him where he comes from. This scroll is filled with photos and a letter from his family. I'll hide it here. Tell whomever you send. It has a blood seal. Na will need to bite his thumb and smear the blood on it to open it. Clarion noted where he placed it. I will. And if there is something you need to know, I'll have them place it there as well. Saratobi nodded and watched as the fairy queen picked up the now peanut-sized Naruto and in a ball of lie. Fly away into the rising sun, never knowing if he would see the child again and praying that he grew up safe and happy. Shaking his head, Serbi put on the hat and robes of office and with a determined look went to deal with Danzo, the council, and everyone else. It would be 15 years before Serbi and Konoha heard from Na again. So guys, what do you think about this Naruto story? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want more Naruto what if stories, make sure to subscribe to Universe of Naruto. Thanks for watching.